Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Let's check the audio on YouTube. We see that the chat's working because Bennett is first in the chat. Let's see, audio play. All right, audio's working. So, a little bit of housekeeping. One of the things I need to do, and I want to put it on the map for this week, getting it done, is that intro and outro, all those videos with the different music. They're woefully out of date. And several of you have got the short end of the stick on that, and I apologize for that. So what I think I want to do is, have your names like we have them now, but then put, your anniversary date, like when you started being a channel member or patron or whatever services are out there that you are contributing on, and put them in there. I think that will be fine for everybody except maybe Anders. YouTube messed with him for a minute, so I don't know if they have his whole time or if they have a break on his. They reported it weird, but he's been here the whole time, and I think unless you guys have an objection to that, like let me know either as a DM on Twitter or here in the chat if you don't want your anniversary date on that, and we'll take care of it. All right. So then, uh, all the stuff I have in the notepad isn't much. I do have a lot of articles up on the screen. Let's see if the computer plays nice with me pulling up these web pages. I guess I'm going to need a new window for this. That way I don't lose the option to share to the screen is janky. I like the word janky. It might not be good, but I don't know why it wouldn't be good. All right, so we got a couple tweets to start out with, and some Reddit, and some more tweets, and yeah, let's just get all these out of the way first. That way I don't lose them. Close that. All right, so Chris shares an article from CNBC, but he has a point to make on it. Let's see, screen, not a window, a tab. There we go. All right, so Chris, aka Dirty Tesla, he pointed out that Tesla tweets an image of the first production Cybertruck, and then Ford lowers the F-150 Lightning prices 2 days later. Coincidence? Question mark. So Ford would say no, no. We finally got our factory working, and it's producing at good numbers, and we've got inventory. And if you listen to all the analysts, they say, "Oh yeah, the electric cars aren't selling," but really, what it is we're finally getting dealer stock back. And that is a point right there to make, is that the manu except for Tesla, the manufacturers do want dealer stock because that's traditionally how you bought your car. So you would have, up to 60 days of supply of cars. Anything more than that was considered not so good. 90 days was the absolute max before people started trying to trash your stock. And if you got down to 30 days or less, people started saying, "Oh, you're not managing inventory correctly," and um, and oh my goodness, your factory's not doing what it needs to do. They would never say, "Oh, well, your sales are so good, you can't keep them in stock." They would say it the other way around. Um, hey, Anders, good to see you. I was saying that I was going to update the intro and outro bumpers, and I wanted to put everybody's anniversary for when they became a member or patron, whatever, on there. And I think for everybody except yours, it'll be accurate. But I think on yours, it might have had like a little break in the middle. And so, yeah, if it looks wrong, what I'll do is I'll try and find the first email where it said, "Hey, welcome, Anders," and then I'll use that date instead. Um, anyway, so okay, good, excellent. The having inventory thing is like I said, it's traditional. You just walk in, I want the red one, and they say, "Oh, the red one doesn't have what you want. How about the blue one?" And "Oh, I don't want a blue car, blah blah blah." And at that point, they can say, "Hey, we can deal a trade across town for a red one with all your features, or if you're willing to give up the color, we'll give you an extra $500, so we don't have to do a dealer transfer and all the paperwork and the waiting and et cetera, et cetera." So Ford, we got another article about this later, but Ford isn't really concerned about the inventory building. And they say that it's the supply chain slash efficiency slash blah 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 is the reason that they're lowering the price. And then other folks are saying that it's not actually the Cybertruck they're worried about, but the real expensive shipping. So basically, they've come down $10,000 on all of the Ford Lightning electrics, and so that puts the entry level model $10,000 higher than it started at, and that puts all of the other models right about where they were originally. So that part is nice. I guess the base model is a little harder because of the battery availability. What's going on, Robert? All right, let's see what's next. We got a Reddit post to the same art, and let's see. My father pre-ordered a Lightning. His local dealer, where he purchased F-150s over the years for his business, told him they wouldn't be marking it up. In December, he gets a call saying it's in, and they want him to take delivery before the end of the year. He goes down to pick it up and gets the news that they added a $15,000 markup. He loses his stuff and walks out. He decides to keep his existing F-150. 6+ months later, the truck is still on the lot. Bump that place. Wow. I have a suspicious email saying change Facebook and give me a code. Yeah, whenever I get something that claims to be from any of the services I use or my bank or my utility companies, I reach out to the numbers I already have on file for these people and then either call, email, or just log into their site fresh from a computer that is unlikely to have been infected by anything. So I make sure I have good DNS. So it usually end up being a tablet or a phone, just because I'm usually on the PC and I want to make sure I'm on a different device so that if it is compromised, it's not fall into a scam. And sometimes it's been accurate. Like I go to the other device and then I log in and they snatch me like, yep, it's time to change your password. I'm like, okay, must have been legit. Or I get there and there's like no notice. I'm like, yep, must have been a scam. All right, let's see. Oh, this one was fun. Joe Tedmeyer shared a couple photos. He says, breaking news, the Cybertruck windshield wiper has been delivered to Giga, Texas shortly. We talked about this one on the members uh, happy hour this past Friday. And we determined that if I called it the wrong thing at first, I was like, is it a gantry crane or a bridge crane? I couldn't remember. It's a bridge crane. And what this thing is going to do is it's going to lift it's going to be lifting in the stamping area. And so why that's important is if you've ever seen the Tesla stamping press, it's huge, and the dies they weigh a couple tons. And so to change from say making the left doors to the right doors, or the safety cage to the battery covers, you'll need to switch those dies out, and they're really heavy. And so if you have something like a bridge crane, you can kind of put them wherever you need to rather quickly. And so that was pretty cool. Let's take a look at some of the responses to that. Wow. Fantastic news, Joe. Thanks for keeping us in the loop. Americans love big things. This is true. And then he says exactly what it is. It's half of a bridge crane for stamping line 2. Can't wait to see deliveries roll in. The Tesla semi pulling them instead of a diesel. And then I pointed out that that's unlikely to happen anytime soon because typically Tesla isn't doing their own deliveries. That's going to be coming from a service that was contracted by their supplier of this bridge crane. However, once the Tesla Semi hits the general market, we're going to see more and more Tesla Semis delivering stuff like this, which is going to be exciting. All right, let's get on to the next one. Also on Twitter, also about Tesla Semi. Sawyer and Autopilot, Sawyer via Autopilot, found photos of different configurations of the Tesla Semi cab. So we've got this one with the low, basically no fairing attached. That's what it looks like without the cap, and no aerodynamic rear. So speculation is that this would be something you see like on the docks or the ports, just basically a yard truck, but more comfortable. And then we've seen these two before the high fairing and basically no fairing. And then somebody said there's a fourth one in here. Uh, Maybe they'll have it in the pictures in the thread. Okay, I thought I pulled that thread out separately, but I did not, so we'll open it. And so Sawyer says we've seen different designs before. For example, in this photo, you see the high and low fairing in a Tesla official photo. This is Justin says, why is it cute though? And then folks are speculating that this one may actually have a shorter wheelbase than the rest, and I would need to see it next to some others, or I need to sit there and like Photoshop or something and do comparisons while adjusting for camera angle and lens, etc. And that's not one of my skills. I'm not trying to be impolite, but doctored image is my best guess. No, why would you think that? Anyway, let's go on and look at some of the source photos. And so here we can see just kind of this drone shot of the Tesla Semi factory. Yeah, so I only saw three, but somebody says they saw four in one of the threads. Dan says we call them trailer jockeys, and they haul the trailers on the site until the actual truck comes to get it. Yeah, yeah. Some people call them tugs. Any number of different nice little local terms for them. And then Autopilot also points out that these are semi bodies. He's not sure if they're scrap or molds or what, but we've seen these before on trucks that were being hauled. Like these bodies were on the back of other trucks, and then like as the wrapper was coming off, like flat in the wind, we could see little shots of these. All right, so I see at least either one or a couple frames. Looks like an axle or two. Well, several axles down here for sure. So these are the same as this one. All these are similar. This might be a jig, this one. And it's also back here, so that's interesting. These could be glass. What did they call them? Brian, or somebody called them something different than I'd be calling them the drone army. But the quad squad, there we go. That's what it was. The quad squad is always watching. There's another partial truck there. There's another angle of them. So this one just doesn't have its cladding and paint on it yet, but those ones, are they scrap? Like something was just not well with them, or are they just in process? That's interesting. And here's a zoom on them. I think I'd like to take one out for a drive. That'd be fun. Maybe crash testing prototypes. That's also possible. Nope, there are 3 crash tests semi vehicles here. Oh, they've already been smushed. I'd like to see those a little closer. There's 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so next tweet is one, something to think about. Fossil fuel industry has spent billions convincing people that climate change is a myth. People come up to me and say climate change is a left-wing conspiracy and a money grab. Who has more to gain or lose if we shift towards renewables? Follow the money. And well, from what we can see, there isn't a lot of it on the big green or whatever the conspiracy is going to be. I mean, yeah, there's some money there. I mean, that's for sure. But the fossil folks are the ones that stand to lose the most money. Why do we think that they are pushing hydrogen so hard? Most hydrogen is gray hydrogen built from fossil fuels. Most hydrogen is, or up till now, there's no way to refuel your hydrogen car at home. So that's a thing. And it doesn't change anything about the model. The price changes, but you pay per unit, in this case, kilograms. a lot of money per kilogram, and so up to 4 or 5 times as much per kilogram. And then you go to the same places. If you have hydrogen combustion, you still need oil changes, tune-ups, all that stuff. But worse, because of what hydrogen does when it's exploded, you need a lot more of those, and you need more oil and more or lubrication, but it's gonna be oil. Uh, More tune-ups, more overhauls, basically, because it's destroying itself. With fuel cells, you need all sorts of exotic metals, not just platinum. Platinum is up there, but we're talking even more. And then you also need the some more exotic materials for the efficient water splitting if you're going to go for green hydrogen. So who stands to lose more in the fossil fuel industry? And then people say, oh, well, you got subsidies on EVs and green and all this. Yes, you do. But who has more subsidies? To this day, over 100 years later, the fossil fuel industry, they still have the most subsidies. Food for thought. I'll put this little tweet out here into the chat so you guys can snag it, think on it, and comment. Let's take a look at some of these comments real quick too. Uh, Pollution is more than enough reasons to move away from fossil fuels, and I don't mean CO2. I mean CO2 is a good reason too, but there you go. This person says A from electric cars. Yeah, but electric cars do their pollution one time plus the little bit that they do when you fuel them. And then when they're done, you can mine them for almost battery grade minerals. When you put your cobalt and your lithium and all your other stuff into your oil production to, desulfate and get your lubrication, etc. Once you explode that diesel or gasoline, it's done. You don't really get a chance to undo it. There is the carbon air capture to e-fuels, the fake synthetic oil, but that's not really going to be practical anytime soon. And even if it were practical, the combustion vehicle is still less capable than the EV. And then you have the problem of now you've got to deal with the local pollution again. Why do you think that so many years ago the diesel trains, they are electric trains? They just have diesel generators to make that electricity because our grid was pretty crappy back then. That's not much better now, but it's smarter now. More than 117 days before here. It's 120 days. Plants, animals, insects cannot live. Water, electricity is rationed now in La Quinta. Oh, wow. Concrete, yeah, concrete contributes to the annual CO2 release. A part of the concrete is not necessarily what it does while it cures. They want us to think that it's just the concrete curing, but it's also the processing. I mean, there is a lot of it in getting the constituent materials for the cement. But then you've got the concrete trucks that deliver it. You've got the mining trucks for the aggregate. They dump all of that into as if it was when you pour the bucket of concrete. That's when the emissions happen. It's really measuring the whole chain. What is the viability of green technologies right now from an economics perspective? Uh, for using anything that's viable economically and scientifically. I've examined some green technologies. Not everything is being said. That's a possibility. It amazes me how easily people accept that one big industry will buy misinformation yet blindly trust a bigger industry. You're implying that green industry is bigger? It's not. I'm not even considering actually trying to follow the simple data themselves. Yeah, it's out there. All right, so that's enough of those comments. They are getting into conspiracy theories. Another thing to look at with this is, where was I going with that one? Oh yeah, yeah. So a lot of people like to say, "Oh yeah, yeah, Green New Deal, Green New Deal." The Green New Deal isn't a law. It was a proposal by a couple of junior Congress people, and I think it was like a 4 to 10 page deal. It wasn't long. You can read it, and then you can see that we aren't doing it. It was a wish list. So anybody telling you, "Oh, the Green New Deal is ruining everything," it's not. It's not. It's just not. Now the IRA does have a lot of green requirements and green incentives in it, but that's not the Green New Deal. That's the IRA. But before I get into politics and start getting all frothy at the mouth, let's move on. David McDonough says this is big. The full Tesla, full Hertz Tesla app access. So basically, up until now, if you rented a Model 3 from Hertz, it's been a worse version of renting or receiving like a Tesla loaner. Why do I say worse version? Because sometimes Tesla would automatically slide it into your app, sometimes not, and they buy less features than Tesla does because Tesla tends to use like rejects and used cars for their loaners. So they tend to have more stuff turned on either on purpose or on accident in them. So with the Hertz, you get the basic autopilot, the free autopilot, and you have the card keys. But now, uh, if your Hertz car is on the latest software update, so you may still have to manually drive it and use the key card and all that, but if you get it to some Wi-Fi or you pop a Wi-Fi hotspot on there and then load it and then update the car software, or eventually whenever Hertz is so far behind that Tesla just forces an update, on this latest version, 2023.26.1, the using a QR code on screen, I was able to instantly link to my Tesla app, and I now have full access, including phone as key. I did a software update to 2023.26.1, and this 2022 rear-wheel drive lithium iron phosphate. This changes the game in Tesla rentals. And they tagged a bunch of people, and uh, he named this car Fat Donkey, and he changed its color to green for some reason. I'm sure that Hertz didn't wrap their car in green or paint it, although they did used to have special colors for some of their stuff. And let's see, 80%, 2 hours remaining to charge. Charge limit's 100% because it's the iron phosphate. There's the whole app access. And then over here on the screen, he shows that David's iPhone 14 Pro Max is active as an Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max as a phone key. Then they've got an unknown key, which I guess is the backup key card. Then you've got the Hertz Fleet key, which I guess is kind of part of the fleet program, like we were seeing Tesla talk about with the Semi. And then we've got another unknown key added on May 25th. So I guess this is a replacement key, the one at 806. And then that's probably one of the original keys that came with it. Because remember, Hertz will overcharge you for a new key card. And so basically on this screen right here, he saw a QR code that he could scan to add that car to his phone key, which is really cool. And I didn't retweet that yet. Yeah. Oh, that's even cooler. All right, so update. The car was removed within seconds of Hertz processing my return. I initially left it connected to see how long it would take. And a bunch of people in the thread are talking about, man, I missed it. So that is exciting to me. Let's see. The other day, my sister was going to rent a Tesla from, I guess, Hertz, but they ended up with a Bolt. So that's why I'm not thinking it's a Hertz. Because Hertz was talking about Model 3s and Polestars. And she got a Bolt and was not terribly pleased with it. Yeah, Robert, it'll delete them as well, as he had in his update 2 hours ago when he checked in the car. Within a couple seconds, that Hertz sent the text saying, "Thank you for your return," blah, blah, blah. It came out. And that's pretty cool, too, because when you look at how long it took my Model S to come off my account after I sold it, it took a long time. But that was years ago. I understand that they're a lot better at it now, assuming that somebody has pictures of their documents. Okay, so now we're going to change windows, and these are ones I just kind of scrounged up, and we'll have various levels of discussion on them. So let's see, not the Twitter homepage. That's not useful to what we're discussing here. Interesting. And Let's start with Electrek, I guess. And then we can close out the window, get some of that RAM back. Tesla Cybertruck with new darker camouflage wrap has been spotted. I've got 3 copies of this article, and so we'll see if anybody has anything different on it of the 3 places. I like that. I like that. I like this one too. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for like a geometric looking wrap. We saw it on. Uh, where did we see it? We saw it recently. It was like geometric rather than like camouflage. Cybertruck with a new darker camouflage has been spotted and it gives the truck an interesting look. Yeah, I like it with kind of dark versus the lighter one. Nice. Still haven't seen the official wheel covers on this thing yet. How much are they going to vary from what we saw at the unveiling and with some of the prototypes? Because we did see 1 or 2 prototypes where they finally put them back on there. All right, so last month we saw this one, the camouflage vehicles. Tesla hasn't done much of that. Actually, my favorite was when they had the Model Ys in Europe and they put on the side, not a Model Y, but it was clearly a Model Y. That was their camouflage. Um, sometimes they do it though, but they're not big on it. We saw it on the Model 3. That's not really camouflage. That's just covering up whatever they're doing with Highland there. This is camouflage. This is the wrap. They serve the same purpose though, so I guess I could conflate them like that. They've all looked like this one until now. Cybertruck Owners Club shared some images of the new wrap. Where is this? Is what I want to know. 30-mile-an-hour turn. Top comment. We now realize it's hard for a shiny stainless steel panel to look flat and straight, particularly on a moving and bouncing vehicle. The panel needs to be so thick. In the first prototype, it was kind of making sense because of the original exoskeleton concept, but now it's not, and thick stainless steel panel becomes exceedingly cost prohibitive. So Tesla's trying very hard to cover up the flaw. What? What? How did that make top comment? Anyway, usually the top comments are somewhat insightful, so that's why I even looked at it. That's interesting there. All right, so is that the Electrek's take? No, it's not. It's just continuing on the article. Darker and better at hiding the electric truck's features. They have changed with the new release candidate that Tesla's producing. Tesla recently announced it built the first Cybertruck with the release of the Q2 earnings. All right, so that was something that happened there. If you're interested in the earnings call, we did a nice, thorough, long show on the Tesla Live show. So at the Tesla Live, if you want to hear that one or watch it. The truck that Tesla tweeted was the production truck. Later, Elon at the earnings call said that it was a release candidate. So, which is it? Is it a release candidate built with the production tools, or is it a production truck and now they're back to building release candidates because they're changing it again? We know that Tesla changes stuff regularly, like ever since the 2012 Model S. They've just been changing stuff constantly. Occasionally, they'll do a model year bump. Very occasionally, they did it with they did it with the Model 3 one year, and that just seems to be like they have their certificate of conformity, and so they just put it out there at that point, just made it line up with the model year. These new wraps could be used to help hide the final design, or Tesla could be testing wraps on the electric truck since it's going to be the only way the vehicle will look different with the standard stainless steel. And we've seen also that in the China plant, we've seen where they at Shanghai they've had a couple of the wrapped cars in there waiting for delivery. The wraps aren't done by Tesla; they're done by a contractor. We should know more of the delivery event planned for the end of the quarter, if it's on time. All right, let's see. Maybe somebody can make sense of that gobbledygook. I think you're probably correct that Tesla will struggle with the finishes. I don't think you can draw the conclusion based on the camouflage. Most automakers apply camouflage on the vehicles at this point to hide the shape and features. Yep. When did Tesla say the Cybertruck's gonna be anything other than an exoskeleton design? Well, again, stressed skin doesn't mean that you can't have a frame. I think the wrap is hide uneven finishes and body panels. Most, if not all, the pics of the video show uneven finishes between the panels and waves, especially the bedside wheel arches. Okay, that's also a possibility, but then that would tell you that the finishing process isn't done yet, which will only really be a concern when they start to produce the models that employees are expected to pay for. I like the camera look. This one looks like grandma's furniture. uh, I can see that. Said it before, the Cybertruck should lean hard into the military motif. Yeah, that's true. I mean, look at the Hummer with the astronaut motif. The theme. They've got, the astronaut boots. They've got all the watts to freedom and all that stuff. Just, it would be it'd be something to look at. All right, we've got a lot of stuff. So let's move on to this crazy couple is driving an electric car all the way to the South Pole. So this is the pole to pole Aria trip. And last week we touched on their GoFundMe. I'm going to move this. I don't need the notes anymore. I'll move this in front of me so that the microphone is directly where I'm looking. They're now well all the way through their trip. We caught up with them in Southern California to see how things are going. So I'm assuming that means they're traveling south. Modified by Arctic Trucks, an Icelandic company that specializes in preparing vehicles for the most difficult conditions on Earth. It's been dubbed the Alpha Tango 39. First electric vehicle the company's ever modified. It's being used as proof of concept. I'm curious how they're charging the thing. Or are they just driving slow enough that they can like solar panel it or whatever? I don't think that's the case either. I like these high flotation tires. On a gas vehicle, the gearbox change would have been considered necessary for such heavy off-roading, but that's not needed with an EV due to the broad torque curve, correct? Let's look at these pictures real quick. Can we? We can't look at these pictures real quick. It's not clicking. Is that a me thing or is that a website thing? No, it's not a me thing because they're just not clicking. Okay, whatever. 39-inch Goodrich tires, yeah. Widening the wheel arches and adding large flared fenders. I'm guessing that's the tent up there. Yeah, because there's a stock one with looks like a surfboard attachment, a longboard. Yeah, it's considerably higher. I don't know. I think that actually looks better than the stock to me. Part next is standard Aria. Range losses. Okay, so here we go. Uh, tire modifications made the speedometer and odometer aren't calibrated properly. It's something you can fix. It's not as easy to fix on these newer modern cars, but you can fix it. According to GPS, the longest they've gone between charges is 162 miles with 18% left battery. So a best achieved range of about 200 miles out of 272-mile range. So with that large tent on top and the larger frontal area, it seems to be like towing a small trailer. And then you can see the original Roadster right next to it. That thing is just tiny. And you can tell because it's at this guy's waist, and he doesn't seem to be particularly giant. These range losses are part of the message that the Ramseys want to send. If they can make it all the way from one end of the globe to the other with 150 to 200-mile range, that shows that most people don't need the huge range they claim they need. I need 600 miles to be able to cross the Australian outback to get to my farm, or this thing is useless for everybody. You all heard that guy online. And it's just not true. I mean, yeah, it doesn't work for you, Australian farmer, but doesn't mean it doesn't work for any other Australian farmers or anybody else in the world just because it doesn't work on your farm. Because I had to ford 2 streams on the way over and there's no charge points in my town. Nobody in your town has electricity? Okay, dude. All right, let's see. I'm curious what that's a link to. Oh, 400-mile electric car from 2019. That's an old article. Challenges ahead. Like softball things will be different. The rooftop tent will be swapped out for a larger deployable structure that encompasses the whole car. That makes sense to trap some of the heat from the 24-hour summer polar sun. Oh, that's why they're doing it now. Okay, so they get there in the summer. Yeah, that makes sense. So that means they started in darkness and in sunlight. Uh, Driving over snow and ice in negative 40s is going to eat into. Yeah, it sure will. And a Nissan. Eat into efficiency. Estimates the car will use about 1% battery per kilometer at that point. Wow. So for 850 miles, they'll be driving from the edge to the center of Antarctica. There's a lot of charging and a lot of charging on the way back too. Okay, that's what I was wondering how they're charging. They're charging with solar panels, which they plan to mount vertically rather than horizontally. Yeah, once you get to the poles, it makes sense to mount them vertically. The sun will be low in the sky, so vertical panels capture more sunlight directly and can benefit from light being reflected off the snow and ice. When they can't get enough solar, they have a gas generator. That's fine for something like this. You don't want a gas generator for everyday use, but for something like this, that's fine. Energy agnostic can be fueled with solar, wind, tidal, a hamster on a wheel, or even oil, whereas gas cars can only use oil and nothing else. Absolutely. They plan to charge during stops by using a small wind turbine, bearing with them on a trailer, but the trailer ended up being more trouble than it was worth on the rough Arctic roads, so that plan was abandoned. Whoa, come back. My window changed. um, Solar plant will be less unwieldy to transport, but it remains to be seen how difficult deployment and teardown will be in the frigid polar temperatures. So the problem I see there is, unless they have a whole mess of panels, they're not going to be like doing daily trips of this. Unless they fire up the generator as well. They're going to be charging on a much slower. When you look at how much cargo capacity an Aria has, I'm going to have to watch the documentary when they finish. I'd play that, but I have a feeling it's going to have music. Let's do this. Mute. Play. Yep, it had music. That's an interesting little zigzag across Canada there. I'm also curious how they're going to cross the Darien Gap. Here's probably going to be a ferry or an airplane, and then they'll go through. Darien Gap? Darius Gap? I think it's a Darien Gap. But either way, that gap between North America and South America, or Central America and South America. People have called them crazy for doing this, but didn't Rivian do this as well? Maybe not as extreme as this. Dan says the infamous camouflage. And Robert says watching a TV advert about an EV Audi with 330 miles. Yeah. You guys got easier mileage over there because your fuel cycle. All right, so that's if you want to read more about this trip. There's this, and then there's their website, and like I said, they've got a GoFundMe if you want to help fund their trip. We're going to move on to something else. They changed the headline from when I pulled this article up. It says we're finally getting electrified Miata in 2026. Previously, it said, "Are we finally getting electrified Miata?" This thing better have more than 100-mile range. I tell you what, because that like I said, I know that the CX is for some people, but to be your first real general purpose electric car, it was a terrible showing. To the point where they went ahead and put a rotary engine on it for the next time around. Mazda confirmed that the next generation MX-5 Miata will come in 2026 and will be electrified. Wait a minute, electrified, not electric. So we're looking probably at that same situation that we saw on the MX-30, where they put a rotary engine in it and make it either just a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. Automakers stopped short of saying what level of electrification this would entail. It's going to be one of these two, hybrid or plug-in hybrid. It's no legacy automakers ever said electrified and come out with an EV. Never. I know never say never, but like you might find one or two, but I don't think you will. Let's see. I won't eat a shoe, but I will eat those words. And this to date, I don't see this being. This will help them with the a sports car must make noise, blah blah blah. Although, as we saw last week, the Hyundai, I like their solution to it. The Ionic N or Ionic GT, the sporty Ionic. It sounds fine. This is gonna sound like a gas car if they do the rotary engine thing. Confirmation light on details. They'd work with Rome Semiconductor to develop electric motors and Envision AESC for batteries. All right, so this is 2026, and you're not building anything in-house yet, and you're not buying from large auto suppliers, large tier ones like Bosch and Borg Warner, et cetera, et cetera. Um, this is sounding like they're trying for a compliance car, but to do a compliance car 4 years before the first cutoff is not intelligent. I smelled something kind of burning, but it was my air conditioner came on and it's blowing the first little puff. It's been hot attic air lately. Let's see. 2019, Mazda was considering electrifying the next Miata. At the time, it wasn't clear what they were talking about, electric or hybrid. Still isn't. Yeah, still isn't. But we suspect it'll probably come with conventional or plug-in. Yeah, yeah. Mazda's branding and R&D chief stated that the car brand needed to shift towards being more eco-friendly. Mazda's dead. That's all I'm going to say. Mazda's going to be the first ones to fall. I mean, they could become niche, but I don't see it. They're dead. They won't survive the transition to electric. I mean, like, yeah, because the real Roadster will be out by then, the new one, and the real electric Corvette, not that hybrid thing without a plug, it'll be out. You've got the Mach E, and they already built a electric, what other people call a Mustang. You know, the folks that just can't accept the Mach E as a Mustang. And then you'll have the Camaro crossover EV by then, and they already have the e-couple Camaro, so that one is the traditional one that has a plug. I don't see it, Mazda. I mean, that's a beautiful concept, but the way I keep saying, you know, if you personally ask me, hey, should I buy a plug-in? That's all I can afford, or I need the range and I don't have charging at home. I'll say, yeah, you go ahead and get a plug-in electric, like not plug-in electric, but plug-in hybrid. But for the manufacturers, I think that's a failure to keep leaning on the plug-in hybrids. I realize I'm moving the bar faster than they can actually build the product, but that's on them. All right, let's see what electric thought. Long time people know that anytime Mazda comes up, there's exactly one thing that we electric want to hear: the Miata is going electric. It comes up every time. Anytime anyone talks about Mazda in our newsroom, and we get lots of comments here saying the same. Robert says, "Sure, Chinese EV1 here this week." Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Is they're going to lose their place to the Chinese EVs. I mean, we've already got all the Geely and then Cadillac and a couple other Chinese cars that are actually selling here in the U.S. So it's not a matter they can't pass the crash test anymore. A lot of them still can't, but it's not because they can't. It's because they weren't built for that. Because to pass the American crash test and the European crash test cost money. And if you're not selling in the US or European market, that's not money that's well spent unless you're making a safety brand like Volvo, but whatever the Chinese equivalent of that is going to end up being, which is Volvo because Volvo is owned by Geely, which is Chinese. But if you're making a new Volvo to compete with the existing Volvo, and you wanted to be like, hey, we're the safety brand, blah blah blah, that would be when it's worth paying for as a large business. I still think you know my stance on how the cheap cars uh, don't get the don't get the features. It's not right. It's not morally. It's not something that these companies should be doing. But when we're talking just China, and it's only going to be the Chinese market, and if you're not going for the safety above all else, I get it. And in that case, it's not a matter of hey, we're shortchanging the folks at the entry level trim and let them die. It's not that. They're all equally just a Chinese spec. So anyway, all of that was to say that there is a brand from China being sold in Europe now. I forget which one it was, but they passed the European test because they wanted to sell in Europe. Eddie says, Robert, I get one or two of those emails daily. Huh. The scam mails. Gotcha. So obviously this comes as great news to us. We've been begging for years. It's finally here. Well, in 2026. So in 3 more years. However, Mazda's being cagey here using the word electrified. This is a bit of a weasel word in the automotive industry. Yep. Uh, we're sure that a hybrid Miata will be more fun than a gas version. Yep. As long as Mazda doesn't intentionally slow it down to feel more like a gas car, like they did with the MX-30. Oh yeah, that's right, they did that. I got to remember that every time I bag on Toyota for making a slow EV that costs as much as a fast EV. At least the MX-30 costs less. We're sure a proper all-electric Miata would be even more fun to drive than the hybrid, simply because it doesn't have to fit 2 powertrains in the same car. Absolutely. Weight's a concern. PHEVs don't actually lower emissions as much as they claim. This is true. That depends on if they're used properly. Yes. I've been driving Chevy Volt for 7 years, and easily 80% of my driving in that time has been electric mode. Almost all of the 20% that was in gas mode has been road trips. Yeah, and that was my first Volt as well, not my second Volt. My wife loved to make trips just outside of the edge of the car's range. um, the electric range, so the gas engine would fire up. Um, he has a point, but on the whole, electric's not wrong there. PHEVs don't lower emissions as much as they claim. On the whole, on the individual case, like my first Volt and this guy's Volt, yeah, they do. But that's because we match the car to the use case. Thing about PHEVs, only benefit comes if they're plugged in for recharging on a constant basis. Absolutely. If that requirement is met, they really can live up to the hype on lowering emissions, yes. But it would help if the salespeople were better at explaining the benefit of a PHEV and how to achieve that benefit. I don't understand why people buy these cars and then don't bother to plug them in. Why pay a premium for PHEV over a regular hybrid if you're not going to take advantage of the benefit? To that, I would say if you gave me a choice of a plug-in hybrid back when it was just a Prius and the Civic Hybrid, I would have took a plug on one of them, even if I couldn't plug it in regularly, because you plug it in enough that you get some benefit out of it, and every little bit to knock down the emissions and get more EV range, and so it's not wasted, except for those folks that like no, don't even plan to do opportunity charging. Like if they just, oh yeah, it's a hybrid. Um, Unless they're going down mountains or something else to get a chance to use the extra regen that you get on the PF over a regular hybrid, then as they're saying, it's right that, or as he's saying, it's right that that getting a PF and not ever plugging it in or planning to is a waste. Again, if you don't live at the top of a mountain or something that you can take advantage of that. As a roadster owner myself, I like really small cars. Okay, moving on. Just read the headline on this one. California wants to create a driver's license for electric bikes. I think this makes sense. You look over at Europe and the way they treat e-bikes and e-scooters, particularly the UK. You look at some of the incidents we've had with folks on the e-bikes, like the 13-year-old last week who had his bike, or the week before, had his bike confiscated for it not being road legal. Perhaps with a proper bike license, then they can remove some of those restrictions because they'll know that the person won't be riding on the sidewalk or intermingling and causing a problem by having the speed disparity. I think that would be cool if they allowed a larger class of bicycles if you get an e-bike license. Now let's see what they're proposing here. Could be coming soon to California. And he says there's more than one level e-bike. Exactly. Yeah, you've got the pedal assist, you've got the full electric, you've got the illegally powerful ones, and then you've got just like the not even regular assist ones, just ones that are just designed to just help you exercise a little better. And that's not even the full spectrum. That's just when you're going shopping, what you can look for. Uh, Assembly Bill 530 get their way. The proposed to create a license. Response to many young electric riders who often take to the streets without having tested for or received a typical driver's license for a standard car. This means they're often ignorant of many traffic laws and safety information. Fair enough. Damn, that's funny. Illegally powerful. I mean, it's true though. Like that's why the kid's bike was confiscated. It was too fast. It was too powerful, and he wasn't following the rules of the road. So this is a good follow up to that kid. Lady here has a Mitsubishi Outlander EV. Yeah, those are pretty cool too. They are. I don't know if they have any pure EVs, but they have the PHEVs, and it took forever to get them to the States because they were selling like hotcakes in Asia and Europe. So that was a good one to see. Electric bicycles have been more popular with older riders a decade ago. Now they've proven highly sought after among riders of all ages. In addition to pure recreation, they're also used as a popular form of alternative transportation. In fact, many young riders in cities are skewing getting a driver's license or a car altogether in favor of getting a smaller, cheaper, fun electric bike. It's I was one of the folks that was a little later to get my driver's license just because I was being lazy with it, but it doesn't hurt to get your driver's license. Just because you have a license doesn't mean you have to have a car. And depending on where you live, there's not extra taxes and fees to keeping that up. I mean, it is slightly more expensive than an ID card sometimes, but in the states again, I don't see any reason not to get it and then not really need it or use it. That's fine. But and I get the folks like in New York City or something where they just will never ever drive. That's fine too. But it's not a bad thing to have a driver's license and not need it. Again, here. Obviously, in some places, if you're paying taxes or extra fees or insurance, oh, that's the other part there. No, you don't necessarily. If you don't have a car, you don't need the insurance. You can get it on a trip basis. Like, hey, I'm renting a car. I need a week's of insurance. Anyway, uh, Bill 530 will enter committee, require both an online written test, or sorry, an online written test and a state-issued identification for riders who do not have a driver's license. The bill would ban riders under 12 years old from riding e-bikes. I don't like that last part. Maybe restrict the power of their bikes even further so that they're in line with kids' bikes. Eddie says, with bike share, I rode my share of pedal assist, but not the powered ones. See? There you go. According to reports, the bill would create an e-bike training program and would work with several organizations, including DMV, CHP, and help educate riders who haven't learned the rules of the road through typical driver's education course. We should also bring back driver's ed in this country, as long as we're going to be car dependent. So it might only be for a generation, but bring it back. It might not even be for a generation. If this robotaxi thing is as early as Musk and others think it is, we might only need it for 5 years. Netherlands made a cycling test in 6th grade. We did not need a license because all the kids in the country learn the road rules and do the cycling test. There are many things taught in school today in the US that I would consider a lower priority than that and could be replaced with a cycling test. Also, with the incredible length of time they spend in school, depending on what's in the final, they could make room for this. Like, hey, instead of yeah, he's right. Some lower priority things, or they could just say, hey, we're going to take an extra 15 minutes in 3rd grade per week, teach them how to ride a bike. Assemblywoman Tasha Borner explained that the creation of a driver's license for previously unlicensed e-bike riders is a matter of safety. As a mother and legislator, I believe we must act to prevent our youth from injuries and educate parents on the promise of and responsibility of e-bikes. AB 530 is another step to increase their safety while sharing the road. Yeah. Well, the thought of a driver's license for e-bikes will likely anger many riders, yep, who enjoy the freedom and lack of regulation surrounding e-bikes. I understand the logic. If you're going to be riding the road, you should have some form of training about the rules of the road. Yeah, my parents made sure I understood all of the rules of the road by the time I was on my bike. It's naive to expect someone who's never operated a vehicle on the road to understand things like right of way, roundabouts, blind spots, following distance, etc. Okay, so they taught me all of it by the time I had my first road bike that could, change the gears and stuff. I had that first little pedal bike that had you pedal backwards for the brake. I knew a lot of it, but I didn't know it all by then. There are also plenty of moving violations that many people may not realize they're committing if they haven't been taught. Yes. In fact, where I live in Israel, we already have this exact type of license. Teenagers who aren't old enough for a driver's license, but use an e-bike to get to school or meet up with friends, have to take a short e-bike course that teaches the rules of the road and gives them a license, though they're only eligible from age 16. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with this. A lot of people aren't going to like it. All right, this is on Alibaba. Find this massive Chinese electric bulldozer could wreck your world. Emissions free. That reminds me of the bulldozer my mom drove when I was a kid. It's the different color. Hers was yellow, but that's what it reminds me of. All right, let's look for the specs and some pictures of this thing. 18,750 kilograms, or just over 41,000 freedom units. This birth of an e-bulldozer is ready for some heavy lifting, or make that heavy scraping. It might weigh barely half of a D9 Caterpillar. That's probably what she was driving. But what it lacks in poundage, it makes up for with the heart of gold and lithium. 240 kilowatt hour battery on board. Oh my goodness. All day mess with you dozing needs. We're not really sure all day. More like 4 to 5 hours of heavy dozing and 6 to 8 hours of medium to light working. Okay, that's fair enough. Imagine that's the category that terrorizing the neighborhood falls under. Still a pretty big battery, around 4 times the size found in the average electric car, or egregiously around 1x the time the size of the battery found in an electric Hummer. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than the Hummer's battery by 30, or not even 30, a full 30 kilowatt hours. A little bit bigger than the Hummer battery pack. That's cool. Carries 145 kilowatt. That's not bad either. 194 horsepower electric motor, and seems to be a bit underpowered for a bulldozer, but I'm gonna let that slide. Well, it's got the torque, so if it's geared correctly, that's fine. Since this one is only half the weight of the really big boys, having half the horsepower isn't really unreasonable. It's not particularly fast, with a top speed of 6 miles per hour, or 10 kilometers an hour. It'll look imposing as it slowly and silently rolls up on you. That's going to be the scary part right there. It's going to be a lot quieter than a regular one. It could be. The decibel rating is 76. Conversion chart tells me it's approximately equal to the noise of a vacuum cleaner. Somehow that's not very helpful. And I'm just imagining this thing sounding like my knockoff Roomba as it mows down the shanty. What are the rest of the specs? $95,000 to buy your own. That's not terrible. Is this the same one? I don't know if this is the same one. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it is. I was hoping we could hear it, but I don't want to deal with the music. All right, so next up. It's Torquay. Oh, that's true. I remember that with her motorcycle. All right, so CATL establishes an aviation unit as it moves closer to electric airplane development. electrify all the things. Here's a link to the article. I just wanted the headline on that one. First flight is expected to be in 2028. An interesting first, artificial bird nests have been built near an offshore wind farm. It's a big old birdhouse. It's like an aviary. You get a whole flock up in there. This is by Orsted. 3 huge artificial nests designed to house vulnerable seabird species near the UK Hornsea 3 offshore wind farm. I thought that was the VTOL for a second. Nope, just regular old airplanes. 2.85 gigawatt offshore farm. So anybody who says that wind generation can't cohabitate with birds, they've been proven wrong. All right, next up. Let's keep on the electric construction equipment, but this time, we're still electrifying all the things, but this time we're not using Alibaba, and this one is much smaller than the last one. Komatsu, the mining company, they just debuted an all-new electric mini excavator. Or, like if you're looking for a bobcat or some other skid steer type, like the mini excavators that you sometimes see like doing public works. There you go. Let's find out about the specs and move on. Komatsu, the world's second largest construction equipment maker after Caterpillar, has premiered a new 3-ton class mini electric excavator. 115 volt architecture. Whoa. A lot lower than you'd expect. A 17.4 kilowatt Komatsu electric motor, 35 kilowatt hour Komatsu lithium ion battery pack, 400 volt charger. Wait. So it's 115 volt architecture, but it charges at 400 volts externally. So that's going to be like a DC charger then. Why not just use the standard charger at that point? You can save money and not include one, unless theirs is like better for construction sites somehow. It can charge from 20 to 100% in just an hour and a half. So that's the same as every EV. And I bet you if they'd gone from 20 to 80%, it would be 30 minutes. It doesn't mean the charge curve matches that, but if it can do that, then there's no reason it shouldn't be able to do the other. Like every other EV out there. That wasn't designed to make EVs look bad. Komatsu introduced its own EV charging solution at ConExpo in March, including mobile charging for mini excavators that's designed for environments with no power supply. But still, just make it a standard. You can sell your own as a package deal, and then for folks that don't need to buy an extra charger, don't make them do it. The PC33E3 E-6 features a large capacity batteries, a highly efficient power line, enabling most customers to work nonstop for a full shift before having to recharge. Thanks to the lightning fast charge system, the downtime is significantly reduced, allowing for increased productivity and efficiency on the job site. And they point out that Komatsu isn't the first. Volvo and JCB already make them, plus the Alibaba folks. Electrifying all the things is a win. Yep. Electric mini excavators are more versatile than their diesel counterparts. They can be used safely indoors and in tight environments. They're quiet, so they can be used at night or in areas that have noise regulations. And their noise reduction reduces accidents on construction sites because workers can communicate more easily. Most importantly, there's zero emissions. Yes. That's so cool. I love to see construction equipment move away from smelly, noisy, polluting diesels. Yep. Price. Price is going to be high. It's a big name. Double the gas. Probably so. Can it be charged on a job site with AC power, 240 and 120? How many amps? Can the charging load be shared so multiple devices can be plugged in overnight? That's great questions. And probably not. Why did I say probably not? Because they mentioned they're selling their own charger. The article said introduce the European market, so it would be CCS2 there and probably support 3-phase. If they don't require you to use their charger. Thus, the standard 16 amp would give 11 kilowatts. Yeah. Electric construction equipment really needs to have swappable batteries. I agree. Yeah, in that case, if a DC fast charge does a job during a shift change like this one, yeah, if it can be ready by the next shift, then you don't need to swap the batteries, assuming that it makes it through the first shift in the first place. But if it can't, then yeah, being able to just kind of roll up on like some sort of swap arm station, you can just that would be ideal. Yeah. So that's why I was alluding to earlier. Ford EV head says dealers having inventory isn't a bad thing. And something I found out this week is that the Ford Model E division doesn't really start until January. So all of my speculation about what Model E is going to do um, is still possible. I was speculating that that's the way Ford's going to just dump the toxic asset of whatever they don't want in the dealers and their fossil business. I didn't think it would happen anytime soon. I just thought it was already operating. Uh, but the features like where the dealers have to agree to not mark up the cars and sell cars online and all the other stuff that we know is now important. Um, as the dealers were taking them to court and suing and winning and all that stuff, and then getting fresh laws made saying that the manufacturer can't tell you what to do. Um, I was thinking that Model E was losing, but it hadn't even started yet. And so I'm guessing that the contracts will be set up that it doesn't matter what Florida and Texas say about what you can do with the pricing for your dealers because they'll have agreed to match unless you sell online, etc. And if they try to sue at that point, then Ford could countersue that they breached contract, and hopefully the contract is set up to not allow these uh, super conservative small business, blah blah blah, whatever, um, the hypocrites in politics talking a good game, but really not walking the walk. Uh, Keep them out of it, but we'll see. Again, I'm gonna kind of step back from the politics. You guys got a feel for where I stand right now. It's not exactly where you think, but you might be close. Anyway, so the dealers aren't concerned about the high inventory because now they have selection for their customers come through, and talking about their LFP pack coming to the Lightning and the Mach E. That's what it is, the Dash. I hope they get some more range on the e-Transit. Not that the 100-mile range e-Transit is useless, but when you see folks like the Winnebago EV trying to build on that, it's not good. I mean, it's a good option, but like if they made more range, or if Winnebago picks a more suitable chassis, like the Sprinter or anybody else offering some more range for people who plan to be driving all day, not in the same town. Um, Palmer has a point. More EVs on dealer lots and in inventory will be good for buyers as more deals roll out, but not so much on automakers' bottom lines. Eh, the automaker gets to count the sale as soon as it gets put on the truck for the dealer. No EVs on the lot mean a few things that are bad for the consumer. Inflated prices via dealer markups, no matter what the OEM says to discourage this. This is true. Nothing to test drive, absolutely. And we see that every time at Tesla in between quarterly pushes where they sell everything, including the demo vehicles. Lack of choice, color, trim, etc. Lack of quick choice because you got to wait till they make a batch that's got what you want, and wait times for orders. Yep, isn't that what the dealership model is for? To have vehicles that buyers can see, touch, and drive and buy today. I'm adding today to his comment. Yep, it is. Volvo is pushing back the EX90 production. Here's when we can expect the electric SUV. Don't sell me on the car. Tell me the headline. Oh yeah, I remember this. I forgot all about it. They got that LiDAR up on the roof. Just like sensors. All right, so it's been delayed. After only 5 months, Volvo was forced to close orders for the EX90 after selling out for the model year. Volvo Cars CEO Jim Rowan said that in May, Volvo EX90 production is delayed 5 or 6 months due to complexity of the software code. So we're seeing a little repeat of Volkswagen here. Update. The article's been updated after a Volvo spokesperson tells Electric that the initial delay announcement was from May. So 5 or 6 months delay from May. Not from now, but still, it's still delayed. Although the delay gives Volvo engineers a little time to get that done, EX90's market could be pushed into the third quarter of next year. We're writing a lot of the software ourselves, so that is smart. They've learned from Tesla. We wanted to make sure that the first time we put LiDAR into our safety stack, it operates the way it should. That's also important. So we saw what happened when Uber took a Volvo and turned off the safety features. Somebody paid with their life. All right, let's read the top comment and go on. Funny thing is that in 2016, I was looking for an SUV to replace my 2012 Sorento. I narrowed down the search to 2 contenders, Volvo XC90 and 27 Sorento SXL V6. After test driving them back to back many times, I decided to go with the Sorento. I have a reservation for the EX90, but with it now being delayed almost a year, I may end up with the Kia EV9. Last time I didn't regret getting the Sorento over the XC90, as the Sorento was a superb vehicle with the same features and the same level of interior materials while having a little better ride quality. Both vehicles could tow 5,000 pounds. Top trim Sorento I bought was $18,000 cheaper than the XC90 with the same features. I believe this history will repeat itself with me next year. The EV9 seems to be the vehicle I will end up with to replace my Model Y. Oh, there you go. And those are, you might say, why are you trading in a Tesla for something else? One, choice. Two, both of those vehicles are larger than the Model Y. We're talking 3-row SUVs. So if Tesla had the Cyber SUV ready, then that'd probably be on the person's list as well. Solar and wind are likely to provide 25% of U.S. electrical generating capacity within 3 years. Tell me something surprising. We've already seen this in the UK and Germany and other places in Europe where the renewables just take over for quite a long while. And the only thing stopping us is our incredible size and incredible slowness of anything useful. Toyota is recalling over 12,000 electric BZ3 sedans in China for defective door handles. Man, Toyota's not having luck keeping their BZs from having basic issues. The Toyota's joint venture, the FAW Toyota, issued a recall plan for its electric sedan in China. The recall affects over 12,000 BZ3s produced this year due to defective door handles. Meaning what? You're stuck in, stuck out. The handles themselves stay out. They work when the car's locked. What? Don't tell me about the car. Tell me about the problem. A China-based news outlet reports that FAW has filed a recall plan with China's state administration for market regulation. Covers 12,205 BZ3s produced between March 13th and July 5th. Hey, that's actually reasonably quick for some of these ones that we've seen lately, like the non-EV ones. Oh, this is an EV. Recalling the sedans over defective rear doors that could cause them to open while driving or remain locked in extreme cases. So both opening when you don't want them to and not opening when you do want them to. That's bad. Whatever happened to the legendary Toyota production system? That's the comment. At least the wheels aren't falling off this time. I'll give you that. The shape and material of the design causes a gap between the outer door handle and the lock. Particularly in high humidity or high temperatures, the lock may fail to lock. They're replacing the rear door locks for free with additional gaskets to ensure proper safety. However, as an emergency precaution, owners of the affected vehicles are being asked to stop using them immediately and contact the nearest FAW Toyota dealership for inspection. It's set to begin next week, July 27th, and the BZ3 sedans start at $24,000 equivalent for base 321 miles of range. Well, that's not bad. But again, that's the China cycle, which is even more friendly than the European cycle. Or you can opt for the long range, which starts at $27,000 equivalent, and 382 miles of range. All right, so that's not our only recall this week. Let me see if I can't find the other one before we get into cool stuff. Stand by. I like doing my recalls together when I can. All right, this one is a Tesla recall. Also, this is one that the automakers have blow in and out from time to time. Tesla's had this one before on other vehicles. All right, so this is a seatbelt recall. Nearly 16,000 Model S and Model X. So let's see, 2,000 a week. That was a whole month of, a whole month of, because 2,000 X's and 2,000 S's, I think. Must have just 2,000 total now, because they've moved that line up and down. But anyway, 16,000 Model S and Model X. According to NHTSA, certain 2021 through 2023 Model S's and X's, that's way long, have front row seatbelts that may not be connected properly to the pretensioner anchors, potentially causing them to detach. If a first row seatbelt is not connected to its pretensioner anchor to specification, the belt may disconnect from its anchor when the belt is pulled up and away from the anchor during normal operation to latch the belt to the buckle. Safety recall report states, both of the front seats in the vehicles are affected. Tesla will inspect and connect first row seat belts to the pretensioner anchors to specification in order to remedy the problem. If the seat belt cannot be connected to the pretensioner, the entire assembly will be replaced at no cost to consumer. Tesla said it has identified 12 warranty claims with the issue as of June 19th, but 0 field reports were filed with the seat issue. There were no crashes, injuries, or deaths caused by the issue that Tesla is aware of. Okay, so if I understand this correctly, applying the seatbelt to your body is what causes it to disconnect. So you will know before you start driving if you have a problem. It's not good, but it could be worse. And they're doing the right thing. Let's see. Additionally, Tesla opened another smaller recall of the 2023 Model S and Model X and Model Y vehicles. This recall deals with the forward-facing camera, which may be misaligned and could cause some of the active safety features such as emergency braking, forward collision warning, and lane assist to become unavailable without alerting the driver. Oh, that part's not good. Mine is really quick to let me know when it doesn't like there's some dirt on the camera. Or in front of the camera, I should say, because the camera's behind glass. Recall affects 13. Are you serious? These numbers, the universe is a joke when it comes to Musk. It affects 1337 units. And for those of you that aren't familiar with nerd speak, that says LEET. Tesla was able to identify 83 warranty claims and 2 field reports with the issue. There were no injuries, death, or crashes related to the condition, as there should not be, considering what they're saying is, these are the FSD cameras. You should be there paying attention, but it is there to assist you. The question there is, does that cause any phantom braking? And I would guess it would. Tesla will remedy this by adjusting the pitch angle of the cameras on affected vehicles. So I guess I just have a tool that just says, hey, point the camera at this dot, and then once you've done that, you tighten it down. More often than not, Tesla deals with recall reports with its vehicles that are remedied through over-the-air software updates, not physical fixes performed by service centers. This is true. Elon Musk has called for a redefinition of recall since many issues can be solved with software updates. Fair enough. Is a phone or this guy's talking about the same thing as Elon there. So let's move back to this. North America's largest electric bus charging center is now online. This appears to be Proterra chargers. Cool. Proterra and ABC companies and PG&E have opened North America's largest electric bus charging center. These buses charge slower than you'd expect. The privately owned center sits on a 3.5-acre campus in Newark, California, right next to Fremont, and it features 20 dual-cable EV chargers capable of charging up to 40 electric coaches. Proterra spokesperson told Electrek that the chargers are currently configured for 60 kilowatts per dispenser. I told you they charge slower than you expect. 60. And these have like 900 kilowatt hour batteries, 700 kilowatt hour batteries, 500 kilowatt hour batteries, typically. And at 60 kilowatts, you're going to be there a while. Although the curve will happen way later because it's just going to go 60 and hold it. To limit power outages and make your home more resilient. Okay, that's an ad. I thought that was a their usual comment or what you call it, their synopsis. The comment says electric buses are a revolutionary upgrade to this particular mode of transport. The noise, pollution, and sluggishness can be associated with fossil-powered coaches are all eliminated. Great to see this news about their expanding deployments. There you go. Let's talk about plugs again. NACS. Webasto introduces a new NACS charging connector for North America. Look at that. It's shaped the way that we are used to with the NACS handles versus some of the stuff we've seen on some of these prototypes lately where the end part of the NACS is what you're used to, but the handles are just ridiculous. Webasto Group is once again helping to expedite EV adoption by introducing a NACS connector across its entire portfolio of charging technologies. So every model they have. Many OEMs have recently committed to the new standard created by Tesla, but this is our first physical glimpse of the company's new NACS charging connector. Back in 2012, with the launch of the Model S, Tesla introduced, okay, yeah, we don't need the history of the NACS. Rumors, Solar, Aptera, GM, because they're telling you how it came to be. All right, so Webasto is adding NACS to all of its chargers. A subsidiary of Webasto Group unveiled its new NACS coupler connector today. It's being implemented on the supplier's entire range of chargers. The company explained that long before OEMs like Mercedes-Benz and Nissan announced they were adopting the standard, it had already developed a fully functional mobile NACS cord set. That's pretty cool. Let me go back to that picture real quick. It looked like it had the same wall plug as Tesla too. It's not. It's similar, but it's not the same. So in a lot of ways, Webasto is ahead of the pack. A design and business philosophy the company credits for its large OEM network in a continuously evolving segment. The Vice President of Research and Development, Michael Schoenberger, spoke to the new technology. We take pride in offering a comprehensive range of charging solutions that cater to diverse needs, from residential to semi-public use cases. The NACS connector solution has been in active development well ahead of recent industry announcements. This showcases our commitment to delivering advanced charging solutions that align with industry standards and requirements. I'm also wondering now at this point if perhaps while they were, before they made their announcements, like Ford and GM and all the ones that currently say that, oh, we're discussing it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe in their initial discussions where they were actually just talking about it, blah, 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 they might have said to this group and whoever else makes supplies for them, hey, can you have some mobile chargers ready? And then they said, yeah. And they just got started on it and were ready at this point, what, a month and a half after Ford and everybody started the avalanche of making the switch after Aptera. Dan says, "Hi, GNAX is in the house." That's right. Now, the company continues to support OEMs in supplying multiple connector types worldwide, including the not yet defunct G1772 Type 1 for North America and Japan. And Korea, right? Or do you not sell in Korea? J1772-2009. Some folks asked me in my Twitter and elsewhere why I specified 2009 versus 2001. J1772-2001 is Avcon. It was a rectangular connector. Doesn't really fit on the cars today. They're like, oh, it's just slower. No, it wasn't just slower. It was 6.6 kilowatts, and it was not the right shape. Looking ahead, however, Webasto believes the new charging connectors will enable its OEM partners to transition to NACS more quickly and seamlessly to the benefit of future EV customers. Their U.S. products are getting the NACS connector include the Webasto Go charger for home and mobile charger, Turbo Connect wall box for fleet and workplace and hospitality charging, and the cost-efficient Turbo DX 2.0 plug-in charger. Well, there you go. Let's see, Gen 2 UMA sells for UMC sells for $230. The visit to Webasto's site shows their equivalent sells for $539. If you already own a home charger with J1772 connector and purchase a vehicle with NACS, Tesla's J1772 to NACS adapter is $50. I don't see a market for Webasto's charger. But don't forget though, Steve, these are retail. So what you're going to see there is that this thing may still show up in some of these OEM cars as the home or travel solution. Oh, that's so cheap, Tesla. This is retail though. Apps. Yeah. Let's see discounts. Oh. All right, let's see. Looks like the only AC EVSEs. Maybe they're now supplying legacy OEMs directly. That's my thought as well. Moving on. Tesla appears ready to take Bitcoin payments again. Hopefully this means that they have found a way to do it with less environmental impact. At the end of Q2, we converted approximately 75% of our Bitcoin purchases to fiat. Conversions in Q2 added $936 million in cash to our balance sheet. Let's see. And that was not in this. That was at the other Q2 2022. Tesla's added Bitcoin back to their code for payments on the website. Saying half of Bitcoin mining is done with renewable energy now, and now that means it's okay, it's a really lame argument. It's still highly inefficient, and all the energy can be used for something else, displacing other energy production. What I don't get is why they haven't picked up on Ethereum if they like crypto. It seems like a way better technology, according to Arturo de Mojave. I don't know. It's just interesting, given the reason they said they stopped, and the fact that it's all back in there. We'll see what becomes of that. In other words, Elon is buying Bitcoin. News will make it pop up in value, and then Elon will sell his best skill at manipulating the stock market. That's a claim that you hear a lot, but it's not the stock market. It's true. It's not. It's the Bitcoin market. Anyway, these comments are getting out of hand. Let's move on. Magna invests $790 million to set up shop and supply Ford's Blue Oval City in Tennessee. Magna made the first Ford EV that I ever drove. Time for me to pop open a tab and take a look. That was the whole reason I even left it in there. Let's do, I guess. A Focus EV, that's a Model 3. There it is. Yes, this one. Tell me more about this photo. Right, so that was 2009 LA Auto Show. There we go. All right, so now let's share this tab instead. So this is the Ford EV I drove. It was a gas conversion of a Ford Focus Bev 2. I didn't drive it here, but I did drive it at a previous show. And there's the Clarity fuel cell. Honda Element. I was selling Hondas at the time. Anyway, so back to what we were talking about, the Magna. So Magna made this thing. These three pictures here. That's back to the Honda and the Toyota. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of gas conversions, This $2,000 kit from China will convert a VW Beetle to electric. Have an old Beetle from the 60s or 70s laying around, you want to convert it to an EV? You can do it for cheaper than you think. I wonder if it'd work for any of the newer old Beetles, like the ones that were continuing to be built in Mexico till like 2005 or something. It's from Alibaba, designed for classic Beetles, can get you rolling for $2,000. What about the specs? Air-cooled cars like a VW Beetle, best options for conversion, and classic cars with simpler designs and roomier engine bays make it easier to perform. 1965 to 1975 takes advantage of those perks. Relatively easy to get an old combustion engine car back on the road. Blah, blah. The kit looks like it puts out 20 horsepower. A 1965 VW Beetle of that era carried a 4-cylinder engine that produced 40 horsepower, and electric has more torque. So, okay, I see. It's probably similar performance than what you expected. The 105-pound motor appears to bolt straight up to the transaxle. That's nice. Something has to spin the shaft. The car doesn't care if it's a single motor, powered by electrons, or cancer-causing dead dinosaur juice. Friendly reminder that your gasoline-powered car is literally giving your future kids cancer, and probably you too. That's true. One key aspect seems to be missing is the battery. Oh, is this just a motor kit? This is a batteries not included type of deal. You'll need a 96-volt pack, which is not exactly something you can pick up at Walmart, but several interesting US auto-based US-based auto battery resellers out there if you've got a number of options. I think there's a sign of things to come rather than a realistic option. That's true. This probably isn't a good kit for you if an IKEA bookshelf assembly turns into a phone a friend situation, but it also won't likely take a lifelong mechanic to install the kit like this due to the relatively simple design. Compared to other kits in the US that can run into tens of thousands of dollars, this one seems fairly compelling. That being said, I always advise caution when making big purchases from Alibaba. In fact, I advise not to do it. This hasn't stopped several of my readers, and I still don't think it's worth risking thousands of dollars and untold thousands more in shipping and customs fees with untested online vendors from halfway around the world. I've already got a fun little air-cooled Chinese EV of my own, so I don't think I need to do any Beetle conversions at the moment. And if I did, I'd be on the lookout for a 1969 AMC AMX with a bad drivetrain anyway. Everyone has a Beetle. Give me something interesting. It's an interesting take. How committed is the US government to electric? 9,500 EVs are on order this year. According to the Government Accountability Office, that's not bad. All right, so nearly 9,500 EVs this fiscal year, while deploying an additional 8,500 charging ports. Okay. So I'm guessing the reason those numbers don't match is either they plan to share charging or they have sufficient charging already on site to not need 1,000 more chargers. You know. All right, so let me paste this article in the chat so you can read it yourself because I am zooming on through. Robert has a great point right there. He says it works on the 911 as well. Yeah, so you just need a 911 that matches those specs as that Volkswagen, and you got it. All right, next article. I didn't read this one either, but the headline brought up a good point. Here's how extreme heat can impact the grid and renewables and what's being done to protect them. So folks always say, oh, it's a hot summer day, your solar must be kicking. Not really. The hotter it gets, the less efficient my solar gets. So it actually puts out less than if it was a bright, sunshiny, but cool day. So if the winter sun angle were correct, I would actually expect to get more energy in the winter because the panels would be cold. All right, so this one is an interview, and I'll paste this one in the chat as well. Move on. Tesla gives update on the Cybertruck, claims its first sub 19-foot pickup with 4 doors and a 6-foot plus bed. This is coming from the shareholder briefing or the earnings call. Tesla released an update about the Cybertruck program and claimed it would be the first sub 19-foot pickup truck with 4 doors and a bed over 6 feet. You can do that when you don't need a massive hood. I mean, this hood is still large, but and you're still really far back in the vehicle, but it's not 8 feet of hood for no reason, or not no reason, because you got to fit that V8 in there somewhere. But still, they were able to shift that around. We were surprised by the announcement because, as Electric previously reported, Tesla suppliers be ready for the Cybertruck release candidates in August, production in October. Sure enough, in the report, Tesla talks about being on track to begin initial production later this year. Cybertruck remains on track to begin initial production this year at Texas. In addition, we continue to make progress on our next generation platform. Furthermore, the company also confirmed the vehicles produced right now are RC units, or release candidates. Tesla noted the truck is going through the final certification and validation. Okay, so that first truck that we saw is probably going to be crash tested and all that stuff. We're now testing Cybertruck vehicles around the world for final certification and validation. This might be the most unique vehicle product in decades that comes with trialing and testing new technologies. Top comment, I'm trying to get used to this body panels not quite matching. Every picture published shows it. I'm still waiting for real production vehicles to show up and for real crash test results. I'm sure it'll ace the crash test, but I do want to see it myself. Also wondering if the body side panels are really scored for crush control. Yeah, that's another way they could do it right there. Just pre-stress them. And then we saw all these pictures on our show on the Tesla Live show this week. Or this past week. Tesla made an interesting comment about Cybertruck being the first sub 19-foot truck, which means it could fit into a garage that has 4 doors and a 6-foot bed. As far as we know, the Cybertruck will be the first fitting into a garage that has both 4 doors and a 6-foot plus bed. Both technologically and architecturally, this vehicle will break a lot of boundaries, very much in line with how we think about vehicle engineering and manufacturing. And there you go. Moving on. Massive 16 megawatt offshore wind turbine is now online in China. And back to the NACS. This is one I touched on several times elsewhere, but on Wednesday, Nissan announced that they are joining the NACS for their new cars. So the Aria and anything in the future in North America will have the NACS. So 2024 adapters. One publication said for purchase, everyone else said available, so we don't know yet what that means. Then in 2025, going forward, you will have a native port on the vehicles. And then Nissan had a very cagey response as to what happens with the Leaf. We're not talking about chatable vehicles at this time. You should assume no, but I'm hoping that just means that they're working with Tesla to get an opposite of the Tesla to CHAdeMO adapter instead of do CHAdeMO to NACS. But it sounds like that's not quite decided yet, or maybe they aren't going to do it at all. Another good thing I wanted to point out with Aria and the NACS is that Aria has the charge port in the correct location, that if they nose in, they aren't taking up 2 spots. They'll be able to use the charger assigned to that spot. They're not backing in, but that's kind of fine. I don't see too many Nissans backed into stuff anyway that are not the sporty cars. Yeah, Eddie, Nissan and NACS. So it's the first Japanese automaker to officially support the NACS. That doesn't mean that Honda's not supporting them with their GM vehicles, but they haven't commented on it. So Nissan gets to take the title. Nissan EVs will use Tesla NACS in a first for Japan. That's the other question: is are they going to use it in Japan? Because Japan uses CCS1. They also use CHAdeMO and J1772. Dan says another one. Exactly. Yes. Adopting the NACS standard underlines Nissan's commitment to making electric mobility accessible, or more accessible, as we follow our ambition to 2030 long-term vision for greater electrification. It says the automaker is happy to provide access to thousands more fast chargers for EV drivers. Tesla has roughly 17,000 superchargers across the US, giving Nissan EV owners access to one of the nation's most expensive, reliable networks. That is something to notice right there. They called out 17,000. So this is the first supercharging partner to not call out 12,000 superchargers. Huh. How many is that now? The question is, how many isn't it now? That's a much easier one. You've got all the people who are considering it, and then you've got Toyota, and then you've got Lucid. I guess Lucid is technically considering it. They just aren't making a move right now. And then you've got Mitsubishi. All the people who don't sell in North America. Mazda. Mazda. It's a short list of people who aren't on the next yet. Eddie says, if I didn't see the article, I would have thought you made that up. Yes. I didn't see them coming as soon as they did. I still think that Toyota's probably going to be last. Also, we don't have anything from Stellantis. I think that they are on the considering list, but they don't really have anything for sale in this market right now, so they don't really matter yet. The other reason why I think the Leaf might not actually get it is that they're not continuing the Leaf next year with CCS. They're just canceling the Leaf, so they might consider it to be just old technology. Following Ford, Nissan is currently retooling the Mississippi assembly plant to become North American electrification hub. That also means that they'll start to qualify for the tax credit, including EV manufacturing, a tech center over the next several years. Plan to introduce 2 new electric vehicles to be assembled at the facility beginning in late 2025. Electrek says, good for Nissan for taking the initiative and becoming the first Japanese automaker to go with Tesla's nags. Japanese automakers, including Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and several others, have fallen behind in the market's transition to electric vehicles. Yes, they have. In fact, Mitsubishi Motors revealed that it was suspending its business in China last week because it can't keep up in the world's largest EV market. Wow. So Mazda isn't the first one to lose in EVs. I was wrong. Mitsubishi was. And they already did it. They gave up on China. Wow. All right, so I still contend that Mazda is going to be the first here in the States. But yeah, Mitsubishi could give them a run for their money. They seemed more dedicated to it than Mazda because like they actually had some stuff on the market. That wasn't a complete joke. And again, if that was the car for you and it worked for you, I'm not making fun of you. I am saying that the automaker did a pathetic first shot. If it worked for you, that's great. All right, my money is on Honda coming next as they're still tooling for the Prologue that isn't due until 25, which will be on Ultium and GM. Oh, shoot. So that means that Honda won't even do the adapters. Honda's going straight in with the NACS if they don't ask GM to put a CCS port on the Prologue. Oh. And GM has already started to go with NACS by that time. But someone connected that for me. Isn't Nissan aiming to drop the Leaf in the next few years? Why would they drop it instead of just adding NACS to it? Yes. Well, you see, the same point. Adding NACS to the Leaf means re-engineering the Leaf. Whereas whatever they did at the new body style, they just put a new skin on the old Leaf. All they've done so far, aside from keep the infotainment up to date with the rest of the fleet, their fleet, is slowly increase the battery capacity, add small features here or there, and maybe they just don't want to engineer or re-engineer the architecture of the vehicle to take CCS or NACS, which, as this commenter is pointing out, is quite wasteful. I mean, it's not a terrible car; it's a great price. to keep it around as a lower cost hatchback. Maybe there's more to the decision to drop the Leaf as a platform upgrade, design language, or something else to that tune. Ah, good point right here. Click. As I pointed out, since it is just a skin job, maybe if they just changed the port on the Leaf and kept it, there's a new crash test standard for Europe and North America that it might not pass. Because remember, the first Leaf did terribly in the crash test that came out after it came out because it was designed for the old one, and they had to adjust it. I don't think that necessarily counts though, because if you don't actually make an all new vehicle, like they can't call it all new if they do this, but if they're just selling the existing model and just changing the fuel filler door, basically, they still have to re-architect the electrical system. But you can get your suppliers to make you what you want. Just tell them, hey, this thing needs to handle CCS protocol and have an ACK port on it. I think the commenter's right. They need to just do that. But next, to keep the Leaf relevant for a long time, if not give it a launchpad for a Gen 3 refresh. That I can see them not wanting to do. Like, if they have to completely redo the car, they would rather not do another sedan, because as we see with the legacies in the States, is they're not selling cars anymore. They're selling trucks. And the Aria is a crossover. The Leaf is a car. But I like all the points brought up there. Let's find that comment and see what the replies were. Give them a little update as well. Leaf still doesn't have active cooling on the battery pack, which is known to just destroy them quickly if you fast charge a lot, especially in hotter climates. Yes. Max supercharging would eat existing Leaf batteries for lunch. That's true. Aria does have active cooling in the battery. Yeah, it does. But we're talking about the Leaf here. Bennett says the Leaf, Gen 3 Leaf might be the Aria. And I think you're onto something there, because again, since the Leaf 2 was just a skin job of the Leaf 1, maybe Leaf 3 is the Aria. And just they just had extra frames, extra packs, extra whatever, and they just said, I'll just keep rolling them out at a low cost till we get down to our minimum warranty requirements, and then kill it. Like what happened with the Eclipse. Yeah, exactly. My bet is a new Leaf with a different platform to hold a larger battery and incorporate the latest tech. They wouldn't say they were canceling it if that was the case. They would just not say anything, and then all of a sudden, here's the 2028 Nissan Leaf. It's got everything you want. Okay, it wouldn't take them that long, but Nissan is on the longer side. The only people that take longer to redo a vehicle than Nissan is Tesla, and that's only because Tesla is always changing the car. So for them to draw a line in the sand and say this is the new one takes longer. Let's see. And I'm saying of people that with some kind of volume. I'm sure like Ferrari and them might take even longer, but I don't keep track of them. My guess is the tech has advanced so much in the past decade as to make the Leaf borderline obsolete, even with upgrades. It would probably be much easier, faster, and cheaper for Nissan to shift sales to the Aria as they come up with a modern do-over of the Leaf, clean sheet paper base, based on whatever more modern battery chemistries, etc. it can handle, just a guess. Also with the liquid cooling, yeah, absolutely. But the Leaf is such an iconic brand. It was popular even before Tesla, yes. It's like Ford saying the 1967 Mustang uses older technology, so we're going to drop the Mustang name. Maybe they should have. That's what Camaro was doing. They're dropping the Camaro again, so this will be like the next time that Camaro has a big gap in its history. But then you've got the Mach-E with a lot of the purists saying it's not a real Mustang. To the point where on Marquez's last review of the updated Mach-E, he kept saying, "Not gonna talk about it. Not gonna talk about it," because every time the logo came up, "Not gonna talk about it." A smaller hatchback really fills the market need. Yes, it does. If Tesla were like other companies they'd be like, "Sorry, we're only selling the Y and the X." This is true. This is totally true. The Probe was the new Mustang until it wasn't. I think I remember. Yeah, so that was. I was talking to somebody this morning, and I was like, we were joking about how the Mustangs like to crash into the curbs, uh, for show. And I was like, I wonder if anybody's done it with the Mach-E. And the response was, "It's not a real Mustang." And I said, well, I'm sure there were other Mustangs of the classic line that were considered not real Mustangs that also did the crashing into curbs in front of people thing, and the Probe would be one of them. Yeah, I mean, they need something in that role, but I don't see them doing it. I think you're right, Bennett. It's going to be the Aria, and they're just finishing out their supplies. Love hatchbacks. I can fit a 9-foot surfboard in my Leaf and still parallel park tight in spots in San Francisco. I don't know. I'd be parking anywhere in San Francisco right now, especially not in the Tesla. Hopefully, upcoming Tesla hatchback will achieve the same. Nissan does not have a competitive EV to use next on. What do you call the Aria? The Leaf is no longer competitive and still comes with Chatamo. The Aria is built on a modified ice platform. Oh, that's what you're saying. It's ice platform with Renault. No frunk. Oh, it doesn't have no frunk. Or it doesn't have a frunk, I should say. No single pedal driving, slow charging, poor acceleration for an EV. It's also front wheel drive. I thought that front wheel drive was weird, but if it's coming from a fossil, that makes sense. Um, there's another car that has front wheel drive that doesn't make sense to me. It's like you have an EV, make it rear wheel drive and make the front wheel steer, unless you're doing all wheel drive. Evenly distributed weight and no heavy engine up front. All around disappointment that will be sold to those people less informed on electric vehicles. There is that, but a lot of people see cars as appliances, or they want the cute one, or they just don't need to know anything about how it works. And if they aren't taking massive road trips, uh, with the range that comes with this, could do for them. Aria offers all-wheel drive on higher trims. Yeah, yeah, I get all-wheel drive, but why have front-wheel drive as the base, like we saw with that platform that was actually built for over-the-air updates we talked about last week or the week before? In agreement, though, all EVs should come with dual motor, all-wheel drive standard. Not necessarily. Um, there's nothing wrong with a two-wheel drive EV. Look at all the rear-wheel drive Teslas out there. They do just fine in the snow. They're cheaper to make, at least, if they're not cheaper to buy. Yep, there's a ton of people in southern and western states that don't want to pay for the additional hardware. While it's true the traction advantages are real, many do not feel they need the feature. It's arguable that the benefits are also marginal at best for most people. Well, one thing I've noticed on mine, I've been spying on it again lately, is that it I've got the large motor in the rear, which seems to do everything below 65 miles an hour, unless I'm asking for heavy acceleration or just weirdness is going on. And then above 65 miles an hour, it switches to the front motor and front wheel drive. So clearly, there are different gear ratios, and that specific cutoff tells me that they engineered it for not just the torque sleep of the big rear motor, because I've got the big rear motor, but also for highway cruising on front wheel drive. So it's got a different gear set. What's up, Lee? Happy Sunday. Bennett says, like Silence of the Lambs, 4-cylinder Mustang. Nobody talks about that. But Mach-E, oh no. Exactly. They exactly how they behave with it. Okay, I think we're done with the comments in the article. But I mean, you guys, if you want to keep talking about an article all day long, I'd be glad to do it with you. But we're going to finish with their comments and move on. Musk says risky margin sacrifice makes sense up to production, or to up production. We've seen time and again that Elon is willing to forego short-term profits for long-term position. Not say long-term profits, but if you're in a good position in the long term, that allows you to keep the low prices and have good margin on them, or to up the price and just be in charge of the market. So I don't really think there's much to that, because we saw it, as I said on the Tesla Live show, we saw it with Toyota and Tesla with the chips. They were the only two that didn't stop ordering chips. One, Toyota didn't, because they knew that they couldn't get chips to do this like they could with steel and iron. That was just logic from understanding how the Toyota production system works because they invented the darn thing. And then in Tesla's case, they wanted new chips anyway, and they were ordering them as much as you give us, as much as you give us, as fast as you can give us. So they didn't suffer either. But everybody else is, oh, everybody's gonna be staying at home, blah blah, cut the orders, blah blah. Oh shoot, they're traveling more than ever. Can we get some of them chips? And then the chip maker's like, you want that 3 generation old technology? We kick that machine out to the curb. It's done. You can get some new stuff, but you gotta wait, get in line. And then one of the things that Musk pointed out with in that same call is how they got preferential treatment from NVIDIA, even though they're not using NVIDIA in the car anymore. They're still using it for the predecessor to Dojo. They're using it for their training network, and so they order so many that NVIDIA's like, yeah, we'll give you them by the truckload. Shoot. All right, so moving on. All right, so this one might not show us anything new because we were there on the call and we went through electrics. This one, when I saw this picture in the shareholder briefing, I'm like, wait, did they put 2 wipers on it? And then I realized that no, they did not. This is all the telemetry stuff, just going through a window, not the front window, but going up and over and then through a window like they typically do. But the way that it looked, it was quite balanced with the mega wiper. All right, so let's see. Originally it was 39,990 through 69,990. It's not going to be there. Does the confirm final validation is ongoing. That same picture remains on track. First Cybertruck built at Giga, Texas. That's a Teslarati tweet. I could have sworn the Tesla said production, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they just implied it. Had to go back to the tweet. I don't want to do that. This picture I liked. Showed the mega wiper, the truck in the mud. This picture, I was amused that they had the truck in the wrap going through the factory. And then we saw that picture already. All right, so nothing new in this one. Let's check out the comments real quick. Tesla revealed new details about the Cybertruck during the company's earnings call on Wednesday. Not sure the writer was there, or maybe he was sleeping as the new details were showed. Shown? What do you mean? I'm not sure the point this guy's making. I have a strong feeling that the first we will know of price will be when the top-end performance model long range, and they will go through and sell as many as they can before they begin adding other models to the configurator, at which point we'll find out the pricing for those. I simply do not think they will nail down pricing until they see what the demand is for the top-of-the-line model. Yep. And they have to do that because they need the biggest battery installed to look good on paper. I'm calling it right now. You push out the dual motor customers 1+ year, watch cancellations be en masse. Factory is huge. They'll be able to build both trims simultaneously. I would suspect, unless they have everything dialed in, that what we're going to see is probably the dual motor long range or dual motor mid range. It depends on their yield for the batteries. We found out on the call that the Cybertruck batteries can be 10% better than the Model Y batteries as far as each 4680 can. So if they've got that together to the point where they make more profit on the plaids, then the plaid will be first. I don't know if we're going to see a 4-motor. We were, but then the Semi was also going to be 4-motor and it became a 3. The Plaid Plus was always going to be 3. I don't know. But if they've got the batteries, we'll see the massive just profit vehicle first. And if they don't, then we'll see the batteries, the vehicle that allows them to build the most vehicles with the least amount of batteries. That will be the first. Bennett says delivery day ones will be top trim. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking is if they have any interior options, they'll all be top trim. And if they don't have interior options, what we're going to see is depending on what they're able to get with their battery yield. So if they have the yield down, they're going to be plaids and whatever else, the long range, quad motor, tri motor, whatever the best example is. If they don't have it completely dialed in and they think they can make more profit by selling more vehicles overall, then we'll see the mid range model with the dual motors come out first. That's my thoughts. Which is FSD where the camera gets muddied. I thought they had a washer for the lower camera, but I can drive through 2-3 inches of standing water. Muddy water test shows me they need to change out the wiper blade since it can't clean the window very well. I'm not even talking about the sweep path of the wiper itself, which doesn't appear to clean the area of the forward camera. Let's go back to that. I think it does clear the forward camera. Don't forget that the window is huge, just like on the Model X, and the camera is much lower than it would look like. Seriously? Not gonna zoom in on that? All right, we got this. And go to the shareholder deck. And of course it switched tabs on me. Oh, that's kind of cool. It resumed exactly where I was in the document from Wednesday. The camera is right there. It's in the sweep. The camera's not right up here at the top of the window. Moving on. Tesla Cybertruck designs were in no shortage as Musk combated boring pickups. I wonder if that ugly thing that we kept seeing time and time again was actually one of the ones. And maybe not the exact one we saw because that was like a mishmash, but like I wonder if somebody took a regular one, like it was like an avalanche or something, and made it as close to what they saw as possible. That looks like a APC troop carrier. I like that. That would have been fun. That looks like that one that was running around. I couldn't stand looking at that thing. And yeah, they look similar, but it's much more rounded, this one, than that to me. They're really close though. You see, it's got that like that Model 3 like sad fish look. That one's kind of fun. Not so much with that one. That one doesn't look very aerodynamic. A new image shared by Walter Isaacson, who's writing a new book about Tesla CEO Elon Musk, shows the Cybertruck had no shortage of designs as Musk pledged to combat boring pickup designs that had flooded the U.S. automotive market. All right, let's take a look at your picture. That would look kind of fun too, but it looks like it'd be hard to produce. According to Isaacson, who appeared on Squawk Pod, Musk also criticized designs of current pickups, calling them boring. He says these things are boring. He doesn't like to be bored. He puts up things from movies, from sci-fi, from video games, and everybody's pushing back on him at this meeting. He finally says, "Stop it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it edgy." It's edgy, all right. He's got lots of edges here and there and there. So I can see, I can say it matches what he says about the troop carrier. Neato. Neato. And that's also why he said that they could very easily do a regular one if it didn't work. And without a doubt, he did. However, the Cybertruck finally reaching initial production at Giga, Texas the past week. Deliveries are expected to begin soon. Customers are still wondering about pricing, earnings call, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of cool. I'm bored with it. It's been 4 years of endless teasers since this 8-bit thing rolled out. Those were not even mostly their designs. The article is poop. Lots of fan-generated art. What? No. What? The person saying that they came from, are these not the ones he saw? It says credit Walter Isaacson. What's Walter Isaacson? There's no doubt but the truck has its own unique look that no traditional automaker would even dare to bring to the table for a pickup truck. China, hold my beer. I mean, the Model S was last updated in what, 1998? Talk about boring. Yeah, it hasn't ever been like majorly updated in looks. He's got a point. 1998 wasn't it, but it hasn't had a major looks overhaul. To anyone who's not into it, I mean, they got rid of my guppy mouth on my 2016. They had my 2016, which got rid of the multi-piece guppy mouth. They had the facelift at 2017, 2016. Then they had I don't think the Raven counts. It didn't look visually that much different. Unless it was where they came in with a black trim, which I don't even think they did that either. And then you have the 2021, the Palladium. But that's like measuring the fins on a Cadillac. You'd have to really be a nerd to know the difference. You went for edgy over utility. Not necessarily. The crowdsourcing of what the truck needed to be able to do was all about utility. Let's move on. The comments aren't particularly helpful this time. Tesla requests approval for Giga Berlin expansion, and I believe it was Brian that explained to me that this thing is bigger than Giga Shanghai on one floor before you add the other floors, and that's going to be impressive. I'll put the article in the chat if you want to read it. Boop. All right, and then updates. The abandoned Tesla Roadsters are removed from the crates and headed to the US. So it looks like they put them on dolly jacks. Let's find out more. Past few months, we've been covering developments regarding the 3 original Tesla Roadsters that were found in shipping containers. One was in pieces, or at least 3.5. After being put up for auction in May, they were bid on by numerous people and have reached a peak bid of $2 million for all 3 units. However, the auction is now listed as indefinite, so bids are still being accepted. That's interesting. The vehicles were purchased years ago by a now-defunct car company in China, which intended to use them for R&D purposes. The cars have sat in a container for a decade untouched, and Gruber was picked as the company to be responsible for the auction. Recently, Gruber issued several updates regarding the fate of the Roadsters, and has been revealed that they were removed from their respective shipping containers and sealed in new sea containers by customs. The new pictures of the Roadsters were taken as the vehicles made their way to the new boxes they would be placed in for transport to the U.S. Yeah, I don't imagine that shipping container was meant to just sit there for 10 years and still be seaworthy. I still wonder if they were in shipping mode or if they have dead batteries. And even if they were in shipping mode, if the batteries are still any good. It's kind of cool. Hopefully we get like a video documentary on it. On the 18th, Gruber issued a new update regarding the trio of Roadsters, stating the 3 vehicles were en route and expected to arrive in the States on the 17th. You know, be funny is if somebody wins the auction, it's got to go back to China or Asia. Some of the most miles of an undriven car. Containers on the ocean going ship now headed towards USA. Estimated arrival date at Long Beach is August 17th. Arrangements have been made with a customs broker to clear them. They advise the process shouldn't take long, maybe 2 days, unless customs decide to put a random hold and request a physical inspection. They advise they rarely do that, but in the event an inspection is requested, the process should add about a week or so. We will post updates. It's kind of interesting that it came from the US and they wouldn't need to do anything more than make sure it didn't have contraband in it. Hey, it's Lotus with a dead Tesla battery in it. Not quite. I've heard of barn finds, but crate finds are a new one for me. I'm wondering about the condition of the batteries. They might be bricked at this juncture. Yep. Even if the batteries are bricked, they can be replaced. Didn't Tesla offer an upgraded battery for sale to the original Roadster owners a few years ago? They did. I wonder what state the batteries are in. Over a decade of not charged, thus likely in a prolonged depleted state. Lithium batteries tend to fade fast. Yep. Will they also be cremated at Gruber like many other Roadsters? It's sad, but true. You'll remember Gruber is also the one that lost us the other functional T0 in one of their fires. Perhaps not intentionally. If they try to supercharge decade-old batteries, let's see how they handle a V3 supercharger. There's a reason Elon launched his into space. They were a painful experience that resulted in a subpar. Elon only launched one of his into space, not all of them. I recall a roadster in a rom-com my wife wanted to watch a decade or so ago. The obnoxious yuppie guy was driving the roadster, of course, and constantly mentioned it. I saw it in, what was that show I watched a couple episodes of? Royal Pains. It was about a concierge doctor. I'm waiting for shopping items I bought from China. Yeah, that's amazing. The stuff that, like, this came from China, like, quick. It's part of a Kickstarter I ordered, but other things take a long time. September 18th. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Captain America meme. I get the reference. I wonder if Tesla will service them when they get here. I think not. And since Grouper is doing the sale, I think that you'll be able to get some Grouper service. That's not exactly true that roadsters of any kind are no longer supported by Tesla, but it's practically true because most service centers are not equipped for dealing with the Roadster. So BS move to postpone the ending of the auction. What is it, 3 times now? Auctions are scams. Some clown probably kept bidding until he won, but of course had no money. That could be it. Or someone is trying to goose the deal by upping bids, but blew it and overbid. That's possible too. Either way, these cars are only worth a trifle as transportation and only slightly more as a collector car. See you in 30 years, then we'll talk. Interesting. Cooking ham and cheesecakes now. There you go. That sounds pretty good. I'm ready for lunch too. The guy on the right must be a giant. No, the cars are small. So the red and orange, which color's the third one? Find a photo. Earlier stories on these cars say there was one red sport spec, one orange sport spec, and one orange base spec. Okay, so you can see 2 different orange cars. So there likely are pics of all 3 cars above because 2 are the same color. Good point. Moving on. Tesla Semi real-world performance hints at the arrival of a new king of the road. Tesla Semi is not being mass-produced yet, but the few units that have been built are being put to use. It's then no surprise that sightings of the all-electric Class 8 trucks operating in the wild are becoming increasingly common, like we saw a couple weeks ago with the twice in a row with the semis passing other trucks and cars on the road. Let's see here. I had thoughts about how to safely capture some video of the semi versus diesel going up a steep grade. The average grade ascending down or pass is 7%, up to 16%. This is some of what I captured. I was in the same shoes we saw before. This guy's having trouble passing the semi. I like that center driving position. Is that his collar, or is that dude got like a righteous beard? That's the semi makes it look easy. He's passing and changing lanes up a steep incline as carefree as a sports car. Any concern about sun exposure? It seems like some driver's face is not being protected from enough sunlight. Well, they got the mega beard on duty. You got the mega visor. See the L holder here. There's no grade on the interstate greater than 6%. Donner has 3 such coming up from Sacramento. My mistake quoting a cycling website. Here are the actual numbers. Donner Pass or Donner Summit, I'm confused. 3 to 6% over 30 miles. Yeah, that's about right. I factually do know the trailer is loaded for every trip on this run. I wanted to catch the flatbed with concrete dividers as I anticipated this kind of reply. When I post that video, expect someone will claim the concrete is actually foam. Tesla has no need to haul empty trailers around. They're stress testing, not messing around. All right, so I guess we got a couple more of these from the series to look forward to. Let's go back to the article. I think this one we saw already. Dan says, I think the center driving to help maintain lane keep by the driver rather than software. Well, don't forget, it's also got hardware 4, so whenever they turn that on, you just do on the steering wheel button, and actually, not just the button, it's got stocks. Do it on the stock, and have it lane centered. Should help with some of the stress, just mental stress from driving. One thing I'm wondering about the semi is how reliable the motors will be under heavy load of semi. Why? I understand the drivetrain assemblage is flat, with shorter gear reduction. Anyway, moving on. Tesla's involved in a new lawsuit as a plaintiff. With a supercapacitor company, the automaker claims infringed on 2 patents owned by Maxwell, which Tesla bought for the dry electrode technology. Same company Tesla is suing had a lawsuit open against Maxwell, which is a subsidiary of them. Tesla's acquisition of Maxwell in 2019 was a move the automaker made to move its battery technology forward. Case is still ongoing. Tesla has not been frightened by the idea of bringing lawsuits forward against companies they believe infringe on their property, or even their employees. That's true. Tesla filed a lawsuit against Rivian in 2020, accusing them of poaching employees. Talked about this one already, the Ford price drop. But the reason it came up here is that it's kind of to point out that Elon potentially drops a hint at Tesla pricing by saying that the Ford F-150 Lightning is too expensive. Doesn't mean that necessarily that he thinks it's too expensive of a truck, but too expensive for Ford, we don't know. So at Tesla Phoenix, FPHX, got us some pictures of the Cybertruck in factory. Line leaks suggest no right-hand drive variant for now, because we've got that assembly right there. Even if they do steer-by-wire, you'd still expect that to show up over here somewhere. And these look like the coolant lines for the computer. I'm noticing maybe 2 holes in the back, 3 for electronics, HVAC, camp mode, 3 child seat loops under the back window. Asymmetrical firewall means no right-hand drive yet. Let's look at pictures. I think we already looked at these pictures. All right, so I saw these as latch connectors, but I don't know where the others would be unless they're like in the corners here. Usually they are kind of quite even in their presentation. But even the back wall is asymmetrical. You look at this right here. The rest of it's pretty symmetrical. And then the skin, it looks like it will mount to some of these cones right here and other places to help carry that load. So that's why I say that just because it has a frame doesn't mean it's not stressed skin. All right, so then they're claiming that the 2024 Silverado EV work truck gets a higher EPA range estimate. It's expected to receive 450. No, it got 450. They were saying 400. So this is. Did I go too far back? And no, that's the right week. I guess Tesla just took a while to get the news. Wrecked Tesla Model S Plaid turned into a cybercart. Interesting. But as we saw with the folks who took all the panels off of their Model S, that it actually got slower. So is this the same one? It might be the same one. After buying the wrecked Model S for $60,000, they fixed the damage to the rear, caused the car using a tow strap hooked around a tree, and eventually replacing the parts from another wrecked Model S. Was able to run 9.66 seconds in the quarter mile and 1.49 seconds. Here's 60-foot time on the track. Following that, they weighed the car at 47.45 and proceeded to remove the exterior, interior, doors, trunk, front bumpers, everything. Weighed in again at 4046. And it managed to run 1.58 seconds, 60 foot on unprepared surface. So this is not the same one as before. The next video, the Plaid was truly gutted. The roof was, oh no, so it is. Roof was cut off, pillars removed, back end completely removed, with the bulk of the car removed. Car came in at 3850 pounds. No, that's not. They then added, why would you fix it all the way up and then rip it apart? Some YouTubers. They added roll cage for safety, but did not say how much weight that added back into the car. Probably not much. Maybe a couple hundred pounds. Even with all these changes, the car drives and charges normally. However, they clearly won't be using autopilot on it ever again. Not without the B-pillar cameras, for sure. Or the fender cameras. They plan on taking the Cybercart to the drag strip for their next video to see if they can break the Model S Plaid's quarter-mile record, which currently stands at 8.73 seconds. I say no, based on what we saw with that other car. It's possible to still save a little weight in the car with different wheels and brakes and a Lexan windshield, so it will certainly be interesting to follow the car as they make changes. What do you think of this build? Oh, it rolls right into another article. Tesla opens up a new financing term option for EV customers. 84 months. That's long as heck. I mean, 72 used to be considered long. 84 months from Tesla now. I mean, not that 84 is new, it's just from Tesla is new. I don't know what to think about that one. I haven't load to discuss. Oh well. Moving on. Oh, the next one was that about the financing. So this one was interesting to me. Amazon's going to build the Kuiper satellite processing facility in Florida. What was interesting is the argument from a Amazon shareholder perspective. And I think I own either some Amazon directly or as part of an ETF. Yeah, exactly. That's what I would much rather see as a van with Tesla motors. I've got one to show you. Stand by. But as an Amazon shareholder, the I think I'm an Amazon shareholder. I don't remember. I got to look. But the other Amazon shareholders, for sure, their concern is that not that Amazon's building satellites instead of like leasing time on Starlink. The concern is that they are expected to then launch the Amazon Kuiper satellites on Blue Origin, who has never been to orbit, and at a price much higher than SpaceX charges for rideshare or dedicated rockets. So what the shareholders are complaining about is that they're getting ripped off to support Jeff Bezos. And if this continues, there will probably be a shareholder suit, and then we'll see what happens next. The problem isn't that he's using the two companies. I mean, Jeff is a shareholder, but Jeff who? The concern is that they're being ripped off by Jeff, supporting one of his other companies at a much higher price than is available elsewhere in the market by going with SpaceX or another company that's actually been to orbit. There are others. They might not be cheaper than Blue Origin though, but SpaceX is definitely cheaper than Blue Origin. Van with Lucid motors that work seamlessly with a supercharger network. Yes. All right, so Robert, there is one fan already that has a Model Y or Model 3 shoved underneath. It's built by Maxwell Vehicles. So it's a Dodge ProMaster with a repowering. They call it the E-Pro or the Vanessa. The Vanessa is the van life, and the E-Pro is just their standard van, and they've got a reefer as well. 200 kilowatt charging, if you can find one that fast. That's not a supercharger, because they replaced the charge port with this one up here, and it's CCS currently. I've asked them about NACS, and they said that's something coming later. They've got their own e-telematics. There it is, charging at EA. Attempting to charge at EA, but not plugged in at all, because all the plugs are plugged in. That one's Chatamo. So they need to haul it across there. I think they just did it for the picture of 2 charging stations. You can get it in a couple different lengths. Oh, there it is charging. CCS. There you go. Visit them in LA. All right. So then we've got Cybertruck. 1.9 million orders as Musk details off the hook demand. This was Friday. Demand is so off the hook you can't even see the hook. Yeah, he pointed that. Sorry, 1,943,000. 1,943,876 reservations as of 2:30 on Friday. How did you get that number? This equates to over 194 million in pre-orders. Pre-order revenue for the pickup. Okay, it's $100 each. According to crowdsourced data tracker, it's important to note the tracker may not be the best way. Yeah, because I think that they mix in Model 3 and Y and S numbers as well. S and X. $100 pre-order deposit isn't much to blink an eye for many. I don't know. Going to be a lot of cancellations when the price is revealed, sadly. Yeah, it's to be expected, but it's not going to be completely canceled. And with their new 84-month financing option, there's more people who can do it. Oh, that's interesting. Now, in this photo, you can see the charge port door flap a little more easily. And it's tall enough that it's not likely to just be NACS. It might also support CCS2 in there for Australia and Ausland. That, I don't know if I'm seeing a camera in there or if it's just a light or an optical illusion, because there's a camera in that one for sure. Something's going on with the end of that mirror too. So it's just more of the pictures of that truck. It's kind of cool. Oh, a video. We'll watch that next. He's keeping the bottom of the barrel. Oh. Cool. Moving on. Tesla adds a state incentive tool to the website to calculate the tax breaks. That's kind of helpful. So you put in your zip code and they'll tell you what you can qualify for. Maryland incentive. That's pretty cool. I like that. Oh, the seatbelt recall. I'm like, why is this one already scrolled down? All right, let's talk more about NACS. Eaton has confirmed that they have NACS connector as an option for all new chargers starting in 2024. There will be a retrofit option for existing infrastructure as well. There we go. Eaton officially announced they will add NACS to their Green Motion EV chargers. This was this morning they announced this. Wow. Even on Sunday. In the case of Eaton, NACS charging connector will be an option for new chargers in 2024 and the retrofits for its existing AC level 2 units. Interestingly, there's no word about the retrofit option for older DC chargers, CHAdeMO or CCS1. That is interesting. I think it's going to be a possibility, though, when you look at everybody else starting with their DC chargers and then maybe with their AC chargers for retrofits. Obviously, everybody who offered it on all the new ones. Let's see. Their vice president of innovation says that the future is electric, and charging infrastructure everywhere needs to be predictable, reliable, and affordable. Aligning with open standards is a must. Open standards, meaning the open source publication on Tesla's website versus the however they delineated the SEE. Eaton has a strong track record here, and we are delivering breakout capabilities in EV hardware and software to adhere to open standards, enabling our infrastructure that is scalable and built to last. It also could mean the SAE, since they're fast tracking it. Currently, Eaton offers DC fast chargers 50 to 150 kilowatts, as well as a broad lineup of AC level 2 charging points. Until SAE International completes the standardization of Tesla-developed charging connector, blah, blah, EV manufacturers must rely on direct agreements with Tesla. No, they don't. And materials provided by Tesla. Again, no, they don't. They can use the open source documentation provided by Tesla. That's the only thing you got to do is go to tesla.com/charging/help or whatever, and then download documents. You're good to go. What you do need an agreement for Tesla for today, aside from getting all that stuff off the shelf, is to use the supercharger network. And that's not going to change just because SAE finishes their deal. You're not getting on the supercharger network without either your customers going directly to Tesla and doing the Charge My Non-Tesla in the app, or you making an agreement with Tesla to have the API and to meet whatever their backdoor agreement is to use the supercharger network. And then you'll put the NACS board on your car. During the transition period, new fast chargers are expected to be dual head with CCS1 and NACS to make sure that existing CCS1 compatible electric vehicles will not be orphaned by lack of support. The company also confirms that we'll provide NACS retrofit options. I'm a huge fan of converting NACS ASAP. However, I'm also in favor of converting existing level 2 units over time. My goal is to leave at least existing plugs alone for a while, primarily because the cheapest, $50, and smaller adapters, say 17 to 72 to NACS. It also takes the rub away from those who will already be forced to carry an adapter to use DC fast charging in North America. EV chargers will be a way of just do it. If you own a fleet of vehicles, or if you're at your home and none of your vehicles are NACS native, or not enough of your vehicles are NACS native, leave it there. If somebody goes and cuts your cable looking for copper or runs over the handle, change it to NACS, assuming that you're offering public charging, or if your vehicle can go either way, or if you have 50%, you have 50% say 1772 and 50% NACS. Switch it. Doesn't really matter what connector's on the charger if it doesn't work. Many Tesla chargers are inoperable or the app doesn't work. I think we'll see some rapid improvement in the next 2 years. Pressure is on from the IRA legislation for uptime. That's right. I forgot about that for a second. The uptime requirements, and Tesla is the only one that meets it right now. Tesla's coming on strong. Up to this point, there was no incentive to keep the units working. It was just for installations. Now there are 2 government monies and extinction. Either way, North American drivers win. One by one, the dominoes fall. Yet somehow Tesla is still a scam, according to those who claim to know. This is the dumbest timeline to live in for sure. Oh. All right, so we talked about Webasto. I think I've got 3 copies of the article, and that was just because I wanted to see if anybody covered it any differently. Like I said, I like the way they did their handle versus some of the others we've seen. They really need to put a hole in the side of the box that you can dock the charger in, like the Tesla chargers, especially if they cost twice as much. Just saying. Aptera meets Pininfarina's wind tunnel for validation phase. Carlsbad, California-based Aptera Motors has been testing its vehicle aerodynamics with Finifenera's wind tunnel. I'm sure I'm just butchering their name. Aptera has a new video on the topic. They are like Tesla in that they have music on everything, so skip it. Look at the pictures. That is cool. Is that a scale model or the real deal? The lights are on, so I'm going to assume that they would use a real car for that. And it's just like he's at the edge of the wide angle camera, so he looks bigger than the car by a lot. Beautiful. Yes, indeed. Let's go back for a second. Are the lights just poking out the back of the car? They are. What's up with that? Can we make this bigger? Yeah, we can. It's either the light for the motorcycle license plate or it's gotta be the light. It's just hopefully they find a way to integrate that a little better. It looks weird and asymmetrical. Put two of them up there. And then we see the rear camera solution there. I'm going to open this in a new window for me. All right, moving on. This one is, from what I understand, it's not anything new. It's what we saw in the shareholder, the earnings call documentation. But the way Inside EV keeps track of all these production, everything, it's going to be exciting. I didn't notice this little table over here before. Is that like a jig or? Interesting. Looks like that one, but white instead of red. All right, so let's see. Fremont, up to $650 a year. Giga Nevada. I don't like the presentation. Give me a chart. It was a chart to start with. Gigafactory 6, Mexico. Did they have? Well, Giga Buffalo doesn't make cars, so it wouldn't be in there. All right, here we go. So the total installed manufacturing capacity is more than 2 million cars per year at 2,025,000 per year, up to 650,000 at Tesla factory. I guess they mean Fremont. 750,000 at Giga Shanghai, 375,000 at Giga Berlin or more, and over 250,000 at Giga Texas. Tesla factory in Fremont, SNX up to 100,000 annually since mid 2012. And for Model S, yep. And for Model X since 2015, late 2015. Yep. 3 and Y capacity of 550,000 annually now. The reason they say that is they just applied for and received permission to upgrade the Model 3 lines and Model Y lines, and we'll see what becomes of that. Total output of 650,000 sexies. Gigafactory 1 in Nevada. It doesn't really make cars yet. It makes the semi, so, or it doesn't, like nearby. And when it's finished and it's stretched out to its full length, it will also make the semi directly. Semi-pilot production, undisclosed capacity, 4680s, 100 gigawatt hours a year. And then, no, the 100 gigawatt hours is when it's expanded, because they were like 30 or so with the existing plant. Yeah, they did call out New York. Gigafactory 2, New York, related to solar, some energy storage products and charging equipment. So the prefab superchargers are definitely coming out of Giga New York, but they could also be coming out of another plant as well. Giga 3, Shanghai. 3 and Y, 750,000 annually over. Model 3 since 19, Model Y since December of 2020. Gigafactory 4 in Berlin, Brandenburg, Germany, Europe. Model Y, 375,000 annually since March of 22. Gigafactory 5 in Austin, Texas, Model Y, capacity of over 250,000 annually since April of 2022. Cybertruck, Julie, unveiled in late 2019, so they're going to put the 2023 on there later if they keep this format up. as well as 4680 type cylindrical cell batteries of undisclosed rate. Gigafactory 6 in Catarina, municipality near Monterey, Nuevo Leon, announced on March 1st, 2023. Tesla Cato Road pilot factory, related to 4680 cylindrical cells, target 10 gigawatt hours per year of production. Megapack factory in Lathrop, announced in 2021, target 40 gigawatt hours per year. Production ramp already started. Megapack factory in Shanghai, announced in April of 2023, 10,000 megapacks per year. Goodness gracious. 40 gigawatt hours per year. Production starts in Q2 of 2024. Unassigned models, roadsters in development, potentially assigned to Fremont, our guess. Why would you make it in Fremont? But at the same time, it makes sense. It's already there. You already make S and X. But if the roadster is going to sell better than S and X, then you need to put it somewhere else. Robotaxi and others in development, unassigned. I'm curious where they'll put those. Probably just wherever they fit. And then there's the chart from the shareholder download that we saw. So we're going to skip the dark Cybertruck. This one was important to me, and it's really... Tesla announces full terms for FSD Beta one-time transfer. Existing owners of FSD Beta equipped cars must take delivery of a new titled Tesla between July 20th, 2023 and September 30th, 2023. So this one was fun. You don't have to give them your old car. You do have to give up FSD in the old car. And I thought some of the terms were not great. So let's see if Inside EVs agrees. We're excited to announce for Q3, blah, blah. They said that. It turns out the terms and conditions is a bit longer. Tesla has already activated the ability to transfer out FSD between vehicles, but owners need to check out a list of items to verify how they can become eligible. The transfer program runs from July 20th to September 30th. In short, the way it works is as follows. FSD Suite is removed from your vehicle that was originally purchased for, and then Tesla transfers FSD Suite to the new vehicle that the owner has to take delivery of by the end of Q3. So that's a change from what Elon said, where, reasonable, blah, blah, blah. End of quarter delivered, or you don't get it. Elon said order by the end of the quarter, and that's no. Full list of requirements from Teslarati, from Twitter, from Reddit. You must be the owner of a Tesla vehicle that has full self-driving included at the time of delivery. So this doesn't count if you ordered it in the app later. At the time you picked up the car, it had to have FSD already on it. Vehicle cannot be subject of a pending cancellation or buyback request. So you can't snatch it off of a lemon. Take delivery of your new titled Tesla between July 20th and September 30th. Accept the forfeiture of full self-driving capability on your current Tesla vehicle. Alternatively, you can choose to trade in your current Tesla vehicle directly with Tesla. When you purchase your new Tesla vehicle, Tesla will remove full self-driving capability from your current Tesla vehicle up to 1 week before your scheduled delivery day for your new Tesla. During this process, your current vehicle will automatically reboot for a few minutes after put in park. They'll also adjust your trade-in price by, so far we've seen $3,000 to $4,000 for the removal of FSD. So if you've already paid, they'll ask you for $3,000 to $4,000 more before you can pick up your car. And you can't let them just deliver the next one, because then your FSD is gone. So you got to be on point with this one. Full self-driving capability can only be transferred once, and so cannot be transferred to another vehicle or to another person, even if the vehicle is privately sold. This is the one I didn't like right here. So if the vehicle is privately sold, they're still going to take FSD off if you sell your new car and get a new car. Obviously, on the new car, you got to buy it again. So I had said previously that Tesla will be able to sell FSD 5 times if everybody in the transactions on all the cars wants FSD. You had it on the first car. You move it to the second car. The person who bought your first car buys FSD again. You get it for free on the new car. You sell the new car, and it goes away. So the person who buys your new car buys it, and then you buy it on your new car. So from 2 cars, Tesla, or 3 cars, Tesla was able to sell FSD 5 times. This offer cannot be combined with any other promotion, and is not redeemable for cash. So I wonder if that also means that for people like me, where if I give up my if I give up my unlimited supercharging, I get 3 extra years of supercharging, or even just the 3 years of supercharging on the S and X. would not qualify because those are other promotions to be combined with. That's another bad deal right there. Not that I would give up my unlimited so far. It'll be fun if you totaled your car and you took the 2 transfers. Yeah, I'll transfer FSD off of that thing, and I'll take my unlimited supercharging credit. Tesla reserves the right to change, modify, or terminate this offer at any time without prior notice. It's not redeemable for cash, was on the previous line. Forfeiture of full self-driving capability on your current vehicle is non-reversible after you take delivery of the new Tesla vehicle, or we remove full self-driving capability from your current vehicle, whichever occurs first. This remains non-reversible even in the event that you otherwise reverse your purchase after you have taken delivery. So if you or Tesla unwinds the deal, not only does FSD go off of the new car, it's still off of your old car and will not come back. Unless you go into the app and give them $15,000 or $200 a month. Used vehicles and vehicles for commercial purposes are not eligible for this program. So you can't transfer FSD from your current car that was delivered with FSD to a Tesla sold used car. And definitely not for commercial. Tesla may remove FSD capability from your new vehicle if it determines in good faith that you have breached any of these terms or have made any misrepresentations about full self-driving on your current vehicle. How would you trick Tesla into thinking your old car had FSD at delivery? Like I said, Tesla's terrible at keeping track of paperwork. But anyway, once they do an audit and find out that you lied to them, they'll remove your new FSD. And then your old car will still also have it removed. This offer cannot be applied retroactively after the Tesla is delivered. So and try Thursday. So yeah, there's no way. So if you tried this on the day that he said it, it wasn't going to happen. Like I said, for the people that it works out for, it's good. The main issue I take is that when you order FSD with the car, it stays with the car, even to this day. Except if you do this, then it stays with your ownership of the car. So it's like unlimited supercharging. Once your car changes ownership, that's gone, whether Tesla gets it or you do private sale. In this particular case, once the car changes ownership, private sale or not, FSD comes back off the car. It's going to make it fun to figure out if a used car actually has FSD for a small chunk of the ownership. And then the rest of it I'm fine with, but that little bit was just the most. Like if FSD had switched on all the other cars to being for the life of the ownership, then I'd be fine with that requirement. What I'm doing now is I'm going to pretend to order a Model X. Included. Yeah, we'll add some enhanced autopilot for $6,000. And then we'll add some FSD. What I was looking for was any sort of like terms. Let's see if they are open for chat. And let me change screens real quick. And I'm going to open a chat and ask if FSD uh, on a non-transfer has been changed. In 1 minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this tab out and watch it, and we'll talk about the rest of the stuff. So let's do this. Let's go back here. Let's move this over so I can see them answer me. All right, so Tesla's only built 5 or 6 Optimus bots so far, Musk reveals at the earnings call. Complete bots, he thinks that there may have been more if you count parts bots. Supercharging network added 318 stations in Q2, which is nice. Total number is already above 5,000, while the number of individual stalls exceeded 48,000. Oh, there we go. We got somebody from Tesla. Hi. FSD transfer. He expires on the new car. Owner. If I don't use the transfer program, FSD, Monroney, and I sell the car. Let's get the car. He may not know, which is fine, but I'm curious if there was a change in policy is what I'm getting at here. Okay, so if that's the new policy, then it's fair and it makes sense and whatever. Not that I like the new policy, but that would be bigger news. All right, let's go back to our news while we wait. U.S. car ownership satisfaction declines. Tesla underperforms. JD Power study. We knew that Tesla really kind of sucks on this test, and what was news to me was that the rest of the industry also has taken a dive. But one thing that I think that might have hurt this is the purchasing experience has declined everywhere because of part shortages and overpricing and gouging, as well as the lack of options from the part shortages. Oh, yeah, right. But if I didn't transfer. Oh, I didn't want to open it window. Uh, whoa. I hit Shift Enter trying to make a new tab and it ended the chat. Um, well, we got our answer. Nothing has changed on the policy. It says 1 minute. Oh, there we go. All right, while we wait for Gerard to respond. So we were talking about the satisfaction of new cars, which is to be expected. Cybertruck's 4680 cells boast 10% higher energy density. Elon mentioned that. Not quite sure how. Somebody suggested winding the cells tighter, and we'll see what happens with that. 6 problems with Model 3 performance. Opinion piece. Let's look at those and talk about it while we wait for Gerard. All right, Gerard answered. Correct. If you transfer FSD to the new car, you would not be getting the limited supercharging. All right, so let's see what he has here. What does he dislike about his Model 3? Low ground clearance. It's a sporty sedan. Tough stuff. The weird door handles. Yeah, that was, but it's for aerodynamics. But they could have been more, they could have done it cheaply and still made them aerodynamic. I understand not making them power because that adds cost. Least sensitive setting, the forward collision warning system is too sensitive. I think that's still but my Model X it's not. I wonder if it's a height thing because the Model 3 is a lot lower than an X. Autopilot, he likes it overall. Unhappy with phantom braking. Again, I'm wondering if that's a 3 versus X thing because mine rarely phantom brakes. Model 3's automatic wipers don't work very well, and the EV has a loud fan. My wipers work like crap, and my fan is even louder than the Model 3 fan. All right, so that's it. I think that's fine. What do you guys think about your Model 3s on Ys? A nothing burger. That's what I thought as well. All right. Finances. Great, worked great there. I spelled appreciate all kinds of wrong. Oh, I spelled straight wrong though. Oh, anyway, moving on. Tesla and early discussions with OEM to license FSD. That came up on the call. We talked about it on um, the Tesla Live show. And what's different about that is that perhaps it's like he said with a major automaker versus last time. He didn't say those same kind of verbiage. All right, agents left the chat. I'm going to close that window. And so NOAA has launched a new hurricane forecast model as Atlantic season starts strong. National Hurricane Center, a division of National Weather Service, has a new model to help produce hurricane forecasts this season. The Hurricane Analysis Forecast System was put into operations on June 27th. Will run alongside additional existing models for 2023 season before replacing them as NOAA's premier hurricane forecasting model. I wonder if you can see that on the existing program. So let's click in up here on Dawn, and then oh, here we go. I don't think it says what models are using or anything. Oh well. Come back over here. Running the experimental versions from 2019 to 2022 showed a 10 to 15% improvement in track predictions compared to the existing models, and is expected to continue increasing forecast accuracy, therefore reducing the storm impacts to lives and property. HAFS is as good as NOAA's existing hurricane models when forecasting storm intensity, but is better at predicting rapid intensification. All right. The first model last year to accurately predict that Hurricane Ian would undergo a secondary rapid intensification as the storm moved off the coast of Cuba and barreled towards southwest Florida. Incredible. All right, so I'm going to put a link to this one in the chat. Change this back to where I can see it. Okay. I'm not looking at a plaid, but I don't see any way that I could bring it to where I could make money move for a plaid. Especially like with 2 drivers in the house. With 1 driver in the house, I don't need 3 cars for 1 driver. Let's see. 4 electric Audi SUVs get the highest IHS safety ratings, which is nice because we like that safety. Got a top safety pick plus. There we go. Congrats, Audi. Or Tesla battery expert leading Lighten into new lithium air, lithium sulfur. All right, cool. All right, so with that, I am going to go to a family dinner, and I will thank all of you guys for your time, and thank all of our channel members for your monetary contributions. As I said, I will update that bumper hopefully this week. I want to get at least 2 of them, an intro and outro bumper, but I want to get all, I think I've got 8 or 16 of them, get them all updated. And then from there, by the time I make the next pre-recorded video to completion, I'm going to add some more to it because I like the selection. So I'll catch you on the flip side.